and gentlemen, let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I believe Tech Nine will do the halftime performance coming up on Saturday.
No.
During Avatar?
He will. During Avatar? On Saturday, it's Lil Jon.
Oh, yeah.
What? I said it's Lil Jon doing it on Saturday. Okay! Glad you're excited about it.
Ask him if I'm excited.
You excited?
Yeah! Stupid! You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Let me tell you how it's going to go today. We're going to get back out to Radio Row in just a little while. Jason Anderson out in Arizona. Currently, I believe he's in Scottsdale, which is a little drive away, which explains the exquisite corpse of a show we're going to have for you here, at least in this first hour before we get the big man back in the big chair. But I'm Joshua Brisco, back here at the station with Beards McFly. I know it's Super Bowl week. I got a great Chiefs-Eagles take for you. I'm going to drop it from high in the sky, and we're all going to get real excited about Super Bowl 57 once again. I got a real counterculture take for you. Then we'll return to Radio Row. Gene Steratore will join Jason out there later this hour. I'm really excited for that just because I think he's going to be an interesting fellow to have on this week. A lot of great guests all day long. We'll explain those more as we go. We may even get back out there a little early. But last night, something happened. I promise we're not going to spend the whole show here. We're not even going to spend this whole segment here. But I have to at least mention it. I am a Phoenix Suns fan. The Super Bowl is taking place in, technically, Glendale, Arizona. Chiefs connection, Monday night. You know where the Chiefs had their media day? Both teams, of course, were both in the same location Monday night. That took place in the house that Kevin Durant built. I looked up on First Take. In Super Bowl week, no less. The bottom third graphic, Kevin sent. In a different time of year, in a different week, maybe a different time of day. We've talked plenty of NBA basketball, me and Beards, being Suns and Celtics fans respectively. We talked a lot with our dear friend Rudy Salazar, Nuggets fan. Shane Summers roaming around. Shane, big Nuggets guy. You want to go ahead and mark that for me, Beards? I heard it once I said it.
He's a what now?
You heard me. I got to watch my team get to the finals. Then they got Giannis. They got bucked around. And now here at the center of the NBA universe, I had a very exciting stretch of time just before my head hit the pillow last night. And I am having a very good morning. I'm a little sad about specifically losing Mikal Bridges. I thought there might be a world to get it done without having to send him to Brooklyn. But it is what it is. I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of what happened in the NBA last night. We didn't even have to leave Arizona to talk about it. We may also need to reserve a little breath later on this NBA season, and I'll Beards, I don't know if there was ever really a time last year or in years previously where you were able to kind of poke Jason towards some NBA talk late in the playoff push or once the postseason came around or anything. And if not, you and I are just going to have to start working on our game together to
we'll just tie him up and put him in a different room or something. Yeah,
that would be great. Yeah, that would be great. Just to set that up going forward. If it's just sort of locking him out of the studio for a little bit, if it's coming up with like a fun Mizzou connection, I could come up with a Melvin Booker, Devin Booker crossover to kind of figure out a way to get Jason in.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I'll just say it, and it'll probably be true. Yeah, you know that Mizzou didn't get Devin Booker right, and there we go. There's the start.
It's a great point. You had to think they were at least interested, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Had to be. I'll Google that later. We'll see if we can get that going. But huge news in the sports world that directly benefits my mood in particular, which may or may not also contribute to the fact that we're here on a Thursday, and I've got a take about the Super Bowl that I just want to put out there, and I want everyone to just let me know how this feels. We talked about this a tiny bit yesterday. It feels like there's been kind of a widely accepted narrative in this Super Bowl that the Chiefs have the better quarterback and that the Eagles have the better 2 through 53. Kurt Warner said it. God knows I think Kurt Warner knows a bleep ton about football. I'm not even saying it's a bad take, but I think it's too narrow. The Chiefs have the best quarterback in this game, the best player in the sport. The best player in this game is the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. Best player, most influential position, Chiefs. And look, the rotation of the Eagles' defensive line, outrageous. Truly. Robert Quinn and Ndamukong Suh are bit players for the Eagles. That's wild. Their secondary, massively talented. Hassan Reddick, problem. But you can argue that the Chiefs have the better quarterback and the Eagles have the better roster. I can argue that the Chiefs have the top 3 picks if you were going to draft players out of this game, like pickup style. Because, look, I mean, if you're going to go quarterback, those are going to be the first 2 picks from any game, from any team. But if you are sort of ranking these players by dominance, excellence, importance, level of success, whatever metric you want to use, I think there's a darn good argument, not an infallible one, so I can make the counterpoint too, but I think there is a darn good argument that the Chiefs have the 3 best football players in this game. I don't know what the drop-off is after that. I don't know what the exact ratio is or where it begins and ceases to matter to you. But Patrick Mahomes is number 1, period. And look, again, Hassan Reddick is a problem. The units altogether that the Eagles have may be greater than the sum of its parts. Their offensive line is stupendous. Lane Johnson is unreal with a torn groin. Jason Kelce is tremendous. I love A.J. Brown. Love him. But the best defensive player in this game is Chris Jones. Period. Full stop. That would be true in any game not against the Niners, maybe Cowboys. Nick Bosa and Micah Parsons and Chris Jones were the 3 guys for Defensive Player of the Year. The 3 legit candidates. This year, those have been the 3. I think Chris Jones is the 2nd or 3rd best player in the game. And Travis Kelce is the other one. And now look, if you want to say, hey, I'm building an offense, give me A.J. Brown over Travis Kelce, cool, fine, I hear you. But in terms of all-time greatness and their individual week-to-week impact that they have shown this season, their careers, I would be thrilled in this little fake draft scenario that I've built. I would be thrilled if I went into this draft pool and I came away with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones. And now, you might also be thrilled with Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Hassan Reddick. I hear you. I'm not angry about any of it. But I think it's a little bit narrow. I think it's a little bit self-limiting to step into this game with this just sort of flat acceptance of, it's just Mahomes and them boys going up against this unstoppable juggernaut. The Eagles are good, but they haven't played very many truly threatening quarterbacks. They got one Dak game against the Cowboys. They played Jared Goff and the Lions early in the year. Both of those times, this defense was scored upon. I am worried about if the Chiefs are going to be able to protect Patrick Mahomes. I am. I think that the pressure rates that this Eagles front line delivers is outrageous. I also think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football at avoiding those pressures translating into sacks and negative plays. As we get closer to the game, I'm finding myself more and more convinced that the Chiefs at least deserve to be certainly not underdogs in this game. Narrow favorites, however you want to set it up. Again, I don't really care about what the books think. In fact, I'd rather the books disagree with me more often. But the idea that this is some Patrick Mahomes and the backups going up against the 16-0 Patriots is a gross oversimplification in my mind. Once you expand it out to the depth of these units, the Chiefs and Eagles both have outrageously talented secondaries. The Chiefs is younger, and they've shown you less due to playing less, but I think they've earned their respect. The Chiefs' defensive line rotation is not as dominant or as deep as the Eagles, but we've seen them play their best football over these last few weeks. This game still feels like a toss-up to me. This feels like one mistake, one self-inflicted wound, and the Chiefs are coming home with no parade to be had. And the Chiefs have had issues with self-inflicted wounds all year. Their mistakes have cost them as much as their other teams' success. No question. That's still within their control. But they haven't been making those kinds of mistakes. And I think the rest of this roster deserves more credit than it's getting. There's my take for your Thursday. We'll head back out to Radio Row, give you a little bit of a rundown of what we're expecting here. We're going to hear from Gene Steratore late in this hour when Jason's able to talk to him about just sort of the state of NFL officiating and where things go from there. Also, of course, the Chiefs having some very obvious big issues with the refereeing in their season, and Carl Cheffers will be the man at the helm coming up in Super Bowl 57. But coming up next, Clay Harbor, former NFLer in his own right, but maybe best known around some parts, and certainly known to Jason, as a contestant on The Bachelorette. This man contains multitudes, and I'm really excited for Jason to have this conversation with him. So Jason Anderson back at Radio Row. Clay Harbor is up next as Jason returns from being there for Chiefs Media Day. So we're also going to be able to hear from a few of those players once we get J-Man back on the line. Should I start calling him J-Man? How does that feel to you, Beards? Kind of bad.
Who was it that called him Jay?
Ross Tucker called him Jay multiple times.
Yeah, just call him Jay.
To the extent that it sounded like it might have been a nickname, like he was doing like a kind of a thing.
Go just call him Jay.
Thanks, B.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I've got control of all these knobs over here.
Wow.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, heading up until 2 o'clock. Hanging out in Phoenix at Radio Row, talking about this game coming up in a few days, and also talking to some of the people hanging out here at Radio Row, one of those being Clay Harbor joining us here in the Zone. Clay, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to be out here in Phoenix. Was in cold Chicago, so we got a little bit of the break with the weather out here, so that's always good, man. People are like, yeah, it's actually chilly today. I'm like, what are you talking about? It is not chilly. They're like, it's 65. It's chilly out here. I'm out here with my shirt off, so I don't know, a little bit of difference for me.
It's just like you were a bachelor in paradise. You know,
absolutely. Shirt off the whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Why put a shirt on when you're there?
Yeah,
Come on.
exactly.
I mean, it's a shirt off scene is what it is. Clay Harbor, you may know him from playing at Missouri State. You may know him from the NFL. You may know him from The Bachelorette with Becca's season there with Clay Harbor. But also, let's start with this. You played for Andy Reid.
Yes.
Drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, played for Andy Reid. What was that experience like for the few years you were there in Philly with Andy?
Love Andy, man. He was like you said, he's a coach that drafted me. He was my first experience in the NFL. His offense, his system, I loved him. It's easy to see why he was able to win. Unfortunately, he got let go, and they brought in Chip Kelly. But Andy Reid, great guy, great coach, unbelievable dude. And, that's why you hear every player that plays for Andy loves him. He's just a guy that everybody will go to bat for because he's just so down to earth. He shoots you straight, and he knows his stuff. And he's just every player. You'd be hard-pressed to find a guy that says, I don't like Andy Reid because he's just such a good guy.
Yeah. You see the tight end position with Travis Kelce. You're like, come on, man. Come on, Andy. You drafted as a tight end. That was you. Right there.
Yeah, I was playing back in my day. We had me and Brent Selleck at the tight end spot, and Andy loved throwing to the tight ends. Obviously, it's a little bit easier to throw the ball when you got Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback. But we had some good players too. Nick Foles. Kevin Cobb, Michael Vick, so we had some good quarterbacks too, but I don't think they compare to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, he's pretty legit to watch him play. What do you see when you watch Patrick Mahomes play?
Just the way that he's able to – he can do everything, right? So he's a guy that can take the 3-step drop out, the 5-step drop out, the 7-step drop out perfectly. He's a guy that can sit in the pocket, but then he's also a guy that could create plays. He can do the improv stuff. He can throw on the move. He's a guy that will literally throw no-look passes, and he can run and move the ball around and just set up the whole offense. He can read coverage. You can't blitz him. He shreds the blitz, so you can't blitz him. But on the other side of that, he doesn't do well versus pressure, so that's why I'm taking the Eagles. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm sorry I'm taking the Eagles. But that's because this defensive line is so good. They have 70 sacks. It's third in NFL history. They have 4 guys with over 11 sacks, including Fletcher Cox in the middle there with 7 sacks. This defensive line is incredible. If they can get pressure without blitzing, I think that they can win this game. And then Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I think, is a guy that can match up with Travis Kelce. Obviously, you're not going to shut him down, but he's a guy that can give him some problems.
Clay Harbor is our guest. Played in the NFL for Andy Reid and played at Missouri State as well. So
Bears.
Yeah, absolutely. How was that experience like? You're a Chicago kid, right?
I'm from Central Illinois, and I ended up going to college. My brother went to Missouri State, formerly Southwest Missouri State.
Right,
if you remember those days.
Absolutely. I went to Northwest Missouri State, so I remember when it was Southwest Missouri State.
Yeah, you guys probably would have beat us. Even though you're a smaller division, honestly, Northwest probably would have beat us. I hate to say it back in the day, but I loved my time at Missouri State. Randy Ball, my coach that recruited me, actually worked for the Chiefs organization afterwards, and we had Terry Allen as my head coach, and I had a lot of success down there. I loved Springfield, the home of the Bass Pro Shops, Lambert's Throwing Rolls. We had a bunch of fun times in Springfield. I loved it there. I actually got back about 2 months ago, and I spoke to the football team, the athletic department. A lot of fun. Still love going back to Springfield. Yeah. Those roots never go away.
Absolutely. We're visiting with Clay Harbor. Now, there's been some fun, things going on in the NFL since the Chiefs and Bengals game and the officiating. That a lot of jokes about the scripted plays and the script. What is more scripted, the NFL or the Bachelor/Bachelorette series?
The scripted jokes with the NFL is funny. Obviously,
great.
the NFL is not scripted at all. I mean, if they to try to say that is pretty hilarious, and maybe you get a bad call here or there, but I think every team that's watching their team thinks their team is getting bad calls.
Yeah.
But the Bachelor actually isn't scripted. There's a bunch of producers, and they will edit the crap out of it to make it look a certain way. But it's not scripted. I mean, you're on your own free will. The producers will tell you to do stuff, but it's like, if you ever watch Star Wars, the Jedi mind tricks only work on the weak-minded. Just like these producers telling the guy to go throw a glass of water in somebody's face. Only works on the weak-minded. If they tell you to do that and you do it, that's on you.
That's right.
Like, these producers will try to create drama because they have a job. It's supposed to be dramatic. It's supposed to be a show. But at the end of the day, it's your free will, so it's actually not scripted. But, I mean, they are suggesting you do a lot of different things.
Yeah, my wife and I, we watch all the time, and we always try to figure out which things are edited from, like, a different time that make it look like it happened in this week, but it might have been a few days before. Or so. We always try to pick those out because we know that happens, right? Like,
it's funny you know that. A lot of people don't. There's these things they call these interviews ITMs, in the moments, but they're really not in the moment.
Yeah.
So here's what they'll do. Say I come down the beach, I'm wearing this outfit on the first day. Okay, the last day, they will have me, they do this periodically throughout the season, but they'll have you come back and bring this outfit. They want you to put the same outfit on and give an interview so it looks like you're giving an interview in the moment.
Yeah.
But realistically, you're giving an interview the last day, weeks, maybe even a month after something happened about the first day, so they can get you to say what they want you to say. So the voiceover, what you're saying in these interviews can be months, or not months. Paradise was only like 22 days. But the Bachelorette, if you're there to the end, it could be almost 2 months. So, I mean, these interviews can happen complete different times. They can get you to say basically whatever they want you to in the same outfit that you wore. But then you'll see some guys like have different facial hair. Like you said, you and your wife are trying to figure it out. Their hair is a little longer. Maybe they haven't plucked their eyebrows. You'll see little things. But they'll be in the same outfit, but it won't be the same time.
The rose ceremonies always have those in the moments where it's like somebody's waiting and they're saying, if I don't get chosen, like, this is such validation for me. And then they're watching what's going on. And I've always wondered, like, okay, did they do this before? Like, did she or he know that he was going to be towards the end? Is this after, and you're trying to recreate the drama of what you felt while everybody else was getting a rose and you were standing there watching?
They'll have you in meetings, and they'll take you, say, before a rose ceremony, it's like, tell me what'll happen if you don't get a rose.
Okay, yeah.
Pretend like she hasn't given you a rose and tell me what you think about it, or something like that. So they'll do all these things beforehand, and even some after, for the guys that play ball. And they know some guys will play ball with them, and some guys won't. Some guys.
Did you play ball?
I didn't play ball. I didn't think I need. I was just like, no, man, I'm not. Yeah. I'm not doing any of the BS, and I didn't even do the ITMs. And I think that's a reason they didn't like me too much, because I wasn't a guy that was just there to, to do whatever they told me to do.
Yeah, interesting. And that's how maybe you stay with the Bachelor franchise a little bit.
If you do.
Maybe you get the next one. Maybe you become the Bachelor.
Yeah,
or
you gotta play ball with them and do all that stuff.
That's interesting. And you ended up breaking your wrist on the show, right? That's how you ended up leaving the show. Would you have stayed, or did they say, you got a broken wrist, you got to get out of here? Sorry, you can't stay with a broken wrist.
I wanted to stay, but, obviously I was still playing football at that point, and I didn't know if I was going to get picked up or not, so I had to go and get the wrist fixed.
I see.
I thought about coming back, like, halfway through the season, but I had to get 2 surgeries. So, like, halfway through, and Clay returns for Becca, and she, it was like one of those, like, they tried to get me to do that, but I couldn't, and right afterwards, they tried to do all that, but I had to make sure that my wrist was okay because I ended up getting some workouts, right? And I ended up going to Buffalo, working out with the Bills right afterwards, and I ended up getting hurt during my workout with the Bills, which was unbelievable how that happened too. It was pretty crazy.
How did that happen with the injury?
Yeah, I'm on field with McDermott. If I'm healthy and in shape, they're going to sign me. I end up tearing my groin in a route that I've ran 15, 20 times, before. Just a normal route, just doing it over and over again. I end up tearing my groin. I'm out for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is that the last workout?
That was the last straw, because I was getting a ton of calls for workouts during that whole year, but I couldn't go because of my groin.
Yeah. And then the calls dried up?
If you miss, because I was on IR the previous year with the Saints, I broke my wrist and my toe in the same game. Come back, I do the Bachelor thing. I got these workouts. If you're healthy and in shape, we're going to sign you. And I tear my groin again. And it was just a freak accident. And it's a long story, but when I was rehabbing my wrist, I was in New York City, and there's nowhere to run routes, so we had to go to these small fields. It was basically like an arena football field with like a cement block around the outside, like small patches of grass, because in New York City there's no grass, there's no turf. So we're running routes in there, but if you go too far, you're going to run into the wall. It's like arena football.
Yeah.
So my trainer's like, run a corner. I'm like, okay, just make sure you put the ball on me fast, or I'm going to run into the wall.
Yeah.
So this is literally 2 weeks before the workout. So I run a corner. I lose track where I am. I'm looking back for the ball. He launches, and I'm running, trying to catch up to the ball. I run directly into the wall, and these posts have metal bars on them. Like every 5 yards, I almost hit the metal post. But I ran full speed into the wall. It's like the Arena Football League wall, but it's complete concrete. It locked up my side. It completely locked it up. I had to go to the emergency room because it wouldn't stop bleeding.
Wow.
And I literally had this choice to make. I'm trying to heal up. I can't even work out. I'm trying to heal up. Do I miss the workout and try to push it back, or do I go and just, try to get through it? I wasn't thinking about the whole side being locked up and then going down to my groin.
Yeah.
So I go, who knows if they're going to call me back if I try to postpone this 2 weeks. It's right before training camp. They want me in for camp. He said I'm going to have a good opportunity to be the number 2 tight end. And I decided to go. And looking back, I think that was the wrong decision. I should have healed up and made sure I was 100%. But, in the moment, you can look back, and hindsight is 20/20. And unfortunately, I made that decision. I ended up getting hurt, and it was out for 6 months. So even all the other workouts I had, I couldn't show up for.
Clay Harbor is our guest. So how did you get on the do you send in a tape? Does somebody reach out to you? Is it your agent looking at different things that you might be doing or interested in?
Yeah. So most people send out tapes, and you have to go through the process. But because I was an NFL football player, they reached out to me and like, we want you to come on the show. And I didn't have to do any of the casting stuff. I basically just showed up to the final casting in LA. And they're like, okay, we want you to come on. And, and I was, looking back on it, I'm like, okay, why did I make this decision? But I thought it could lead to something cool maybe afterwards.
Yeah.
The TV space, you never know. I said, what's the worst that could happen? Who knew that I'd break my wrist in a dating show? In my mind, that didn't even cross my mind that I would get hurt, like, in a reality TV show.
Right.
I'm like, I'll be gone for a couple weeks. They said I can still train, like, whatever.
I'm not going to play tackle football without pads or anything.
I'm not going to play tackle football. And even when I said I was going to play, like, I'm not really going to do anything. And didn't see myself getting hurt, and it happened. But so that's how it happened. I just kind of showed up, and right into the moment where I got in the limo and got out, I was like, are you really going to do this, bro? Like, are you sure you want to do this? And I ended up doing it. And
so were you almost like judging yourself? Like, why am I here? What am I doing? Am I one of those guys?
Honestly, have
I become the reality TV guy?
Because a lot of guys do that for a reason, like they don't have much going on. They're trying to make some money out of it, or like maybe grow a social media, or maybe start a business. For me, at that point, I'd played 8-9 years in the NFL. I've had some nice contracts, pension, 401k, all that. Like, why am I doing this? Like, at some point, it's like, there's not a necessity there for me. A lot of these guys, I can see why you're doing this. For me, there's no need. I just thought it could help me in a certain way and lead to something that was cool.
How many guys do you think or girls go on it for, like, I actually want to find love? I'm here to find love, and not like some other motive
5%.
that might 5%?
5% maybe. And if I think that everybody is going on there, but I think there's a number of people that go out and they don't even have it in their mind. If you go on and you're trying to create something, I don't mind it if you're open to the possibility of finding love and maybe meeting someone. Some people go on and they're not even open to it, and that's the people that I think, it's like, okay, like if you're just 100% going on it to start this business or become an influencer or something like that, or build your social media brand. And some of these guys, say from my season, there's 30 guys that go on. 5 of these guys have made millions of dollars from it, millions. And I mean, some of them are making NFL money in the social media space. So there's a reason why, and that's been happening. Every year there's going to be 4 or 5 guys that end up making millions of bucks. And a lot of these guys have nothing going for themselves.
Well, that season was all about Colton, though. Like it was all about also former football player.
Yeah, Colton's a former football player, but he had a good reason to go on, man. He never made an active roster. He's a practice squad football player. If Colton goes on and makes a business, Colton's done very well for himself after the show. Just like all the other guys. So there's guys that go on, and you can kind of see why they're doing it. When I look back at myself as a guy that's, educated, I got degrees, I've played, had a career and all this stuff. It was like there was no, like, reason to do that for, that type of thing. I didn't even have my Instagram was private, my Twitter was private. I didn't even do social media at all. I had no idea you could do social media. I didn't know you could get paid to do Instagram or appearances at all. I know in football you show up somewhere and sign some autographs. But that wasn't even on my radar at all. Had no idea about that stuff.
Wow. Clay Harbor is our guest. You're picking the Eagles, though. Last one as we let you go. You are picking the Eagles, which is perfectly fine. It's been, I mean, they're the consensus of the folks that we've talked to out here, but it makes sense. I mean, it's a 1.5 difference. So, I mean, it's a coin flip to a degree.
It's a coin flip, man. And I like Kansas City. Obviously, I went to Missouri State. They're very passionate fan base. I think they're underrated fan base. If you're out there in Kansas City, Missouri, you know how passionate this fan base is, and they really are. I mean, they're up there with Philly. And having played with the Eagles, I know how passionate the Eagles is. But here's why. The trenches, man. I mean, you got this offensive line is by far the best in the league. This defensive line is by far the best in the league. The pass defense is the best in the league. And these receivers are great. And the Kansas City, I'm not really sold on their cornerbacks. They got 2 rookie cornerbacks.
Yeah.
I feel like, obviously they got Chris Jones, but I think Jason Kelsey is a Hall of Fame center, and he's not going to get dominated by Chris Jones. So I don't think they're going to be able to get the pressure they need to on the offense. On the defensive side of the ball, they don't have to blitz to pressure Mahomes. Mahomes, only thing you can do to Mahomes is pressure him. And you can't blitz him. If you blitz him, he torches you.
Yeah.
But if you don't blitz him and you get pressure, that's the only recipe. It's like Tom Brady in the Super Bowl against the Giants. Tom Brady in the Super Bowls. If you can pressure this guy without blitzing, it's the only way to slow him down. It's the only way you slow down Mahomes, and Mahomes has a bum ankle. So that's why I'm thinking that the Eagles pull this one out.
All right, we'll see what happens. Clay Harbor, our guest. Clay, thank you so much for the time, man. I really appreciate it. Really enjoyed it, man. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. There's Clay Harbor. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone rolling along next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Briscoe, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Don't dab babies, okay?
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue our coverage from Radio Row in Phoenix. Jason Anderson with you on this Thursday edition of the show. Let's talk with Gene Steratore, Westwood One. You see him on the broadcast. You hear him as the former NFL official joining us here in the Zone. Gene, how are you? Welcome into the show, sir.
Thanks so much, Jason. It's great to be with you.
I appreciate it. How has your life been the last week and a half or so since those championship games and all of the talk about the officiating that went on?
Well, Jason, it's funny, but when there's no controversy, it's a pretty quiet, off time between games. But naturally, when we run into one or two situations that occur and spike up as a result of a decision or situation that occurs on the officiating, it gets a little busier. But it's been a wonderful 10 days and really excited for what's about to take place here in 3 days.
Absolutely. What's the balance, do you think, of when people have complaints about officiating that you say, okay, those are legit. I mean, that's real. This should have been done. This should have been done versus, all right, come on, you're viewing it through whatever team sunglasses you're wearing, that it's a little extreme. But, yeah, there are some issues here. There are some things that could have gone different there. But, not everything went against you or your team.
Well, that's something I lived with for over 30 years, Jason. I mean, you can work 59 minutes and 30 seconds of fantastic football and have one decision in that 30-second window that labels the entire day as a success or failure. And, it's not like there's a group of fans in any stadium, that are just cheering the officials on. So going into this profession, you understand that, unlike so many things in this world today, that your greatest accomplishment should be that you were not recognized whatsoever, and understanding as well that what you're going to be recognized for, if you are recognized, is a human error or a split-second decision that we all have this luxury now, especially myself in the seat I'm in, to review it in super slow motion and make it look so much more egregious than the fraction of a second decision you made on the field. So those are the challenges. I mean, that's the challenge of this type of profession. But you have to know they're going in. It's not like you should be surprised by that. And truly you embrace it. It takes a certain level of a person to be able to navigate through these types of things and stay steady with that. And officials are very unique in many ways in their makeup for that reason. From the seat I'm in now, look, when a mistake occurs, you don't lose your credibility. You need to speak to the mistake or how you feel that mistake is. I think that where I get my chuckles a lot is, and I hope I don't forget, how difficult, how fast, and how many little tiny things that maybe we can't see from one of the 20 camera angles we get to look at, that the officials are really dealing with from their eyesight or their line of sight when they made the decision they can. So when I do look at a lot of these plays and I'm asked to speak to them on air, you try to do your best to get right back down on the field in that position of that official, speak to what they've looked at, and then offer at times, what you really feel is look, that to me, I agree with the official based on that. I'm always hated by half of the world, right, or half of the stadium. It's just part of this business. So. But you still do want to at least try to speak to what these men and women are dealing with in real time. And truly, I would love it if they would bring me in every once in a while and go, boy, Gene, look at that toe tap in the back of the end zone. What a great job by those two officials to get not just that ball not moving, but that toe tap in real time, because I think at times we should celebrate the fact that officials are really, really good for the majority of time. But it's the nature of the beast, and you deal with that. It's part of being an official.
Gene Steratore is our guest. You'll hear him on the broadcast coming up on Sunday right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, rules analyst with Kevin Harlan and Kurt Warner on the call. What's your reaction as an official when you hear people say, you can't make that call at that time, let the players decide it?
Yeah, it was always something that gets to me, and you think when people say you can't make that call at that time, I think you just need to take a breath really and say, well, you can't not make that call at that time, right? Not making a call is a call. So a decision needs to be made on a play. How that decision is made needs to fall within the parameters that either lead to a penalty or they don't lead to a penalty. But officials can't swallow whistles. If you swallow a whistle, you keep your flag in your pocket and say the players have decided the game, well, one of these two teams that are participating feels like your decision, if it was incorrect, affected this game, whether there was a whistle or flag or not. So you take that noise out. That falls in that category again of what color jersey are you cheering for and why you said it the way you said it. And I think you leave it at that. Consistency in officiating, regardless of whether it is the first play of the game or the last play of the season, is what you strive for. That's how officials win, and they do get wins. Officials win when the game is played correctly and when they have put themselves into the game when it was appropriate, and then really many more times than not when they don't put themselves into the game when it wasn't necessary. So that's the challenge of this business. And players and coaches do adjust. And look at, are they restricting on every play? Yeah, they are. Is it a hold every play? No, because there's different levels of that. And many of the decisions officials are making in real time, they do have this 5% of, are we going to let them play a little more physical today downfield, some hands with receivers and D-backs or this or that? Yeah, you're going to do that, and that does occur. Once that decision, though, is made in that contest that this is how we're working that's when the challenges begin for that crew for the rest of the day, right? Because now you have to, if it's going to be a handsy game, not obvious fouls not being called, but a handsy game, right in that little area, we have to keep it in that area. Everybody has to know that across the field they did this on that play. If that comes my way 4 plays from now on this side of the field, I got to live in that world. Being a basketball official for me personally and working 3, 4, 5 games between NFL games on a weekend, that I enjoyed, that helped me because in basketball you are constantly making sure that it's done consistently, and I felt like I could apply both of those types of nuances to both sports.
It's not because you're on the air with us, but I've said it before. I always felt when Gene Steratore was on the call in the NFL or in college basketball, you were going to get a professional officiated game, and it was going to go as smooth as you could possibly hope. Gene Steratore is our guest. Are we close, Gene, to having a sky judge, an official sky judge that will be more a part of the officiating, that, hey, quick decisions, you know what, we don't need to challenge over here. This is the call right there. This is what happened on this one, just buzzing down more than even what we're seeing right now? Or are we close to having that sky judge?
I think we are going somewhere close to that, Jason. I would say, too, you look in the 20 years that I was involved in the NFL and continue to be, we have all, experienced the expansion of replay because of technology, because of high def, because of all of these other things that we can use now from a technological standpoint to do what all the fans want. And that's get as close to a perfectly officiated contest that we can possibly get, because we know that imperfection in officiating is just completely unacceptable. It's one of the few places in the world where being imperfect in any percentage, it's just not acceptable. It's also unrealistic. So in that path, we're trying, and the NFL is trying, to implement technology and the use of that to get closer to that level. I think we also will be presented with some unintended consequences if we continue to go down that path, and that is, okay, which one of these plays did not the sky judge, or however they title that person, why didn't they come down on that play? That one looked just as obvious as the one they implemented, 5 plays before, right, or that. And I think the challenge system itself, as we see, this enhancement of expedited review or New York interjecting themselves without the formal process of red flag throwing, I think that needs to be looked at a little closer now. If we're going to let them come down and fix plays in a quick, brief moment, because in the first or second replay we can obviously see that the foot's out of bounds. When I worked, there was no expedited review. A coach had to challenge that pretty obvious miss, that it's incomplete. Well, you always understood on the field that even though the coach was going to get that challenge right, we know that the replay system today says that if you get 1 out of 2 correct, you're done with your replay challenges for the day. So therein lies another level, right, of an unintended consequence if we interject here. Well, they fixed this one from New York. Coach didn't have to challenge that one. I think the perfect example would be the NFC Championship game, right, in the fourth down play, early in the game, right? It looks like it catched all of us in real time. The third or fourth replay comes in from a different angle because we have more cameras there than we do in a regular season, and we see that play is incomplete. The offense runs up to the field, goes no huddle, wants to get the snap off. The defense is challenged early in the game. Coach Shanahan, whether he wants to dump a challenge flag in the first series of the NFC Championship, he does not. The play goes off. We see the next play. Boom. Now we look at this replay. It's incomplete. So we will have other levels of, when do we do it? How do we do it? So, but I do think we're moving closer to things like that because technology is growing along with the game.
I know you got to go 30 seconds or less. Do you have a guess as to how the game will be officiated this weekend? Will it be a let them play a little bit more or more tightly officiated that if the Chiefs or Eagles get handsy, there's going to be pass interference calls?
Yeah, I was always from the place that I fished for whales and not minnows. I would think that would be the case here. Players know also the magnitude of making that extra step or having a penalty this week. So a lot of times these games on this platform, they're played with a little less of that. So my feeling is that the players will play really well within the rules, and the officials they'll get the whales and not fish for the minnows.
Gene Steratore, you're the man. Really appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Jace. Have a great day.
You do the same. There's Gene Steratore, rules analyst. You'll hear him on the broadcast coming up on Sunday, Westwood 1, right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Kevin Harlan, play-by-play. Kurt Warner, game analyst. You'll have the sideline reporters with Mike Golic and Laura Oakman. We talked with them this week already. And, of course, Gene Steratore there as rules analyst for Westwood 1, also with the TV side as well. But I love that saying there. Fish for whales, not minnows. Okay. Fish for whales, not minnows. We'll find out if that's the case, if what it looks like, of course, after the game is over. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling, hanging out here in Phoenix, Radio Row. It is Super Bowl 57 as we are leading up to that and getting you ready for all the sights and sounds and the action and everything. It's brought to you by Twin Peaks, America's favorite sport. Crowns a champ on February 12th. Show up early, cash out quarterly. The first 100 guests qualify for the Squares board. Watch the game at Twin Peaks. More Zone right after this.
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB. You're in the zone.
And there are guys you feel like are going to be. Are there guys
With Jason Anderson.
Boy, that's an unfortunate slip up.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. We'll talk with Trey Wingo here coming up in just a little bit. Our coverage presented by Rally House, your home for officially licensed NFL gear. Your city, your house. Rally House. We'll also hang out later on this hour with Rondé Barber, who I'm told, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that he probably wouldn't be making the rounds on Radio Row today if he weren't going to have a good weekend being a Hall of Famer. Hall of Fame finalist, Rondé Barber. So we'll talk with him coming up later on this hour. And then Steve Mariucci will be our guest. And looking forward to that with his relationship with Andy Reid and breakdowns of, the offenses in this game as well. So looking forward to those conversations. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us. Josh, appreciate you handling the beginning there of the show, able to get out and talk to a number of Chiefs players that will play throughout the show as well. Hung out with Colin Saunders for about 6 minutes that I wanted to spend the next hour of my life with. Hung out with Jerick McKinnon and may have asked him for a percentage of his agent's take on his contract.
Good.
In that interview, since I feel like I have been promoting him more than his agent has been promoting him, so I feel like maybe there's some sort of a fee that should come my way.
And his restraining order didn't kick in at any point yet against you?
No, I just got served, so it's
got it. Okay.
Yeah, so he certainly filed it. I also thanked him for my fantasy team. I did that. So we talked fantasy football for a little bit with Jerick McKinnon, and we got into some serious stuff too about his pass blocking. And I actually don't remember who we had on the air yesterday that said, in rushing the passer, the Chiefs' advantage when it comes to the Eagles' defensive line versus the Chiefs' offense, and the Chiefs' defensive line versus the Eagles' offense, is that Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott aren't that great in pass pro, and Jerick McKinnon's one of the best. I don't remember who said that. Honestly, we've had so many different people on the show. I don't remember whose analysis was that. But I brought that up with Jerick McKinnon, that, hey, there's a thought about, you being an advantage just from that standpoint. So we'll hear those conversations. And then Frank Caliendo, we talked with him. We'll talk with him coming up later on today. So we'll do all of that stuff. As we wait for Trey Wingo, Josh, so I figured you'd like this. We go out to dinner last night, right? So I'm told we're Ubering back to our hotel, which is roughly 30 minutes away from here at the convention center. So we're in the Uber for a while. I get a call from Chad, and he's like, "Hey, go home, get to the hotel, change quickly, but we got a reservation at this place at like 6, and you can't be late. All right, dress nice, okay? Wear some nice shoes." Button-down shirt, some nice pants. And I'm like, what do you take me for, man? I'm like, I'm not going to show up in a sleeveless T-shirt and shorts, Like, I'll dress it. When you tell me it's a nice dinner, I know the attire. So very serious. You got to get there. So we Uber there. We get there at like 5:59, so just in time. We get our table and we're ordering the food, and it's phenomenal food and everything. By the way, Trey Wingo is heading over here right now as we're telling the story, but. Long story short, apparently this was the place to be, Josh, and I'll give you other details as we continue with the show, but this was the place to be because Justin Fields and CeeDee Lamb and Dan Orlovsky and Laura Rutledge, and there were 3 or 4 others that were there. That was the spot, but some more stories from that particular thing as well that we'll tell you. But right now we are talking with Trey Wingo joining us here in the zone live from Radio Row in Phoenix. Trey, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I am doing just fine. Football Insiders, Trey Wingo, Caesar Sportsbook, Trey Wingo as well. So how you feeling as we're getting closer and closer to this game?
It needs to get here, right? I got here Sunday, and I feel like I've been here for 4 days, 4 weeks already. So I'm happy that we're faster approaching the game.
I have been 1 day ahead all week.
Yeah.
Every day I wake up, I thought it was the next day.
I feel like it's Groundhog's Day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we have, but it saw its shadow. So 6 more weeks of Super Bowl coverage.
6 more weeks of media day. God help us all.
No. Opening night, Trey.
Yeah, let's rebrand it. Let's rebrand it.
It's opening
Let's
night.
rebrand it.
Let's pull that lever there. Let's get some more cash out of this. Trey Wingo is our guest. How, the prop bets are always fun as we lead into the Super Bowl. Has that always been something that you've enjoyed in following and playing and trying to study and see which ones may come through in these particular games? Is it a late venture for you to enjoy those things?
Well, I think in a game like this, which is so evenly
There's a future
matched.
Hall of Famer, Rondé Barber, walking by.
Should be Hall of Famer already, Rondé Barber walking by.
I think he'll have a good weekend.
Yeah, I hope so. I think that in a game that's this close in terms of the spread, it's 1.5. I believe it might be pick 'em by the time the game comes around because it started 2.5, and suddenly the Chiefs are healthier and it's moving a little bit that way.
Mm-hmm.
But in a game that's this close, and if you don't have a skin in the game and you don't have a team that you're diehard rooting for, the prop bets make it way more fun.
Yeah.
Because there's so many ways to get involved. And all this started, of course, when Caesar's Palace put up a prop bet in 1986 for the Fridge to score an offensive touchdown.
No way.
That's what started the prop bet craze. And obviously it paid in because he scored in the third quarter. In fact, they put so much money on that prop bet. It went from 20-1 to 2-1 by the time the kick was for Super Bowl 20. And so in honor of that, every year Caesars puts up a defensive player to score an offensive touchdown. Only one other player has done it, and he has Kansas City ties. Only one other defensive player scored an offensive touchdown in Super Bowl history, and he has Kansas City ties.
Is it Vrabel?
It is! Bang! Go ahead of the class. Mike Vrabel caught a touchdown pass in Super Bowl 38 and 39. And can I just say while we're on this, Mike Vrabel has the greatest stat line in the history of the NFL.
Okay.
As a linebacker.
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
12 targets, 12 catches for 12 touchdowns. Randy Moss doesn't have bleep on Mike Vrabel.
He was miscast as a linebacker.
Exactly right.
In the NFL. He missed his calling.
Exactly right.
He should have been that, as opposed to Travis Kelce when they tried to have him throw some passes. It hasn't worked all that well for him as a former quarterback.
Or the lateral plays that he keeps trying to pull off.
That's true.
Can we stop that?
Which, by the way, is not in the playbook. That's not something Andy Reid called. People are like, well, Andy Reid with these lateral plays.
Nope.
No, Travis Kelce said, yeah, I did it, and when I walked over to the sideline, Andy Reid pretty much let me know that I'm not going to do it again.
And he almost did it again in the same game.
And that one would have worked.
It would have worked.
That one would have been a touchdown.
Well,
had he done that.
The other one would have worked if he had been a better lateraler.
If he was able to spin it a little bit better, and then the wind took it. That's how bad the wind was. Like it was like a 10-foot sort of lateral, and it just curved like he was throwing a curveball.
That was a disaster waiting to happen. Like, what are you doing?
Yes, just come on, just do your job. Come on, Travis. But he made up for it with the promo that he made for the wrestling at the end of the game on the stage. So he made up for it there.
And he told the Cincinnati mayor what we all wanted to say.
And you are speaking for all of Kansas City. And I think the Kansas City mayor probably wanted to say it, because the Cincinnati mayor got a little too big for his britches. Then he started making short jokes about Mayor Q, and they got a little ahead of themselves.
The
on that one,
Bengals were, from the moment they beat the Bills, we'll see at Burrowhead. I was like, really? Although I gotta say, and I'm sure this was a topic of conversation in Kansas City. You're up 13-3. You just pick off Joe Burrow. There's 2 minutes and 19 seconds left to go in the half. You have three possibilities here. This half ends with either us punting, kicking a field goal, or kicking an extra point. Why you called 3 pass plays in a row and took less than 20 seconds off the clock, which allowed the Bengals to go down and kick that field goal. I'm like, this is exactly like last year. Yep. They're screwing it up at the end of the first half, and it's going to come back to haunt them. And thankfully it didn't for the Kansas City fans. But I was like, run the ball!
That was
if they run it one time, the Bengals do not have time to kick that field goal at the end of the half.
That was a common refrain after the game was over, because it was back-to-back possessions for the Chiefs. So the second they picked off Joe Burrow, L'Jarius Sneed got that, and you described the situation. The Chiefs had 2 possessions, and the Bengals had 1, and somehow the Bengals beat the Chiefs 3-0. Yeah. The Chiefs went 3 and out, kicked it. Bengals kicked a field goal. Start the second half with the ball, 3 and out, kicked it back to the Bengals. That you have those 2 possessions. You do something different, score a touchdown there. 20-6 and it's probably over. 20-3 and it's probably over at that point.
Even 13-3, you're good.
Yeah, right.
It was. I love Andy, and we can talk about how special he is and what could possibly happen on Sunday. That was awful.
Yeah.
It was objectively awful.
And then they have the ball in the fourth quarter, up 20-13 in Bengals territory, and the ball slips out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. And at that point, it's like, well, at that time, I'm like, it's all happening. They're going to lose this game.
I've seen this script.
I've seen it too many times. They had control in Cincinnati, and they were up 4 driving, and Kelce fumbled.
And you know what Patrick Mahomes said? not today.
Yeah, over my dead body.
Exactly. Hold my beer.
Well, yeah, we quote the late great Therese Paylor, who said, and I think he coined the phrase about Patrick Mahomes, that he said, this guy will give you an over my dead body game.
Yeah.
And then he started using it more and more, and we use it with Mahomes all the time, that it's one of those where I am not going to let this game get away. And he did that in that game. Trey Wingo was our guest. What do you think this game would mean for Andy Reid legacy? Certainly Patrick Mahomes' legacy, but Andy Reid being a two-time Super Bowl winning coach in his career.
Yeah, we'll get to Mahomes in a second, but the problem for Andy is Bill Belichick, right? Now, if Bill Belichick was just a normal head coach or didn't exist, Andy Reid would be looked at as maybe the greatest coach in the current state of the NFL. If he wins on Sunday, and we'll get to predictions later, he would be the first coach in the history of the NFL to have the most wins for two franchises. He has 140 wins with the Eagles, playoffs and regular season combined. Right now he's got 128 tied with Hank Stram. He wins on Sunday, he will be the first coach in the history of the NFL to have the most wins for two separate franchises. You know, he's taken the team to 5 straight AFC championships. That's a nice bottle, Emmitt Smith. Sorry, I'm doing live radio in Kansas City, but I just want to say hi.
It's all good.
The great Emmitt Smith just walked by. I just want you to know that. Don't doubt 22. But if Andy has taken the Chiefs with Patrick to 5 straight AFC championships. He took the Eagles to 4 straight with Donovan McNabb. Like, Bill is great, right? But what's happened since he left Tom Brady? Or Tom Brady left him? Andy can do it with a lot of different guys. And I think if he gets another one, I think a lot of the but goes away from Andy Reid. Like, to me, he's first ballot Hall of Fame coach, no matter what.
Absolutely.
But, there's first ballot, and then there's that inside the first ballot. There's you get into these microcosms of great. This would put him into the tiniest category of great.
Yeah.
Or the most elite category of great.
And it's been talked about, okay, so what is Bill Belichick before and after Tom Brady versus what Andy Reid has done? And certainly Super Bowls matter. I mean, you get a couple of rings, and, you go to 3 Super Bowls in 4 years and win 2 of them. I mean, that is an incredible run, and they're also set up for success moving forward. This isn't like the last run to where it's all going to break up after this year.
I'm so glad you said that, because that is so significant. Because this 2022 draft class for Kansas City is going to keep them relevant and cap-friendly for a long time. McDuffie, starter. Karlaftis, starter. Cook, starter. Watson, Williams, starter. Pacheco, Chenal, starter. All these guys are on rookie contracts for 4 or 5 years. And that is going to allow Brett maximum cap flexibility in this offseason to go get another wide receiver, because they only have 3 under contract for next year.
Yeah.
MVS, Sky Moore, and Kadarius Toney on a rookie deal for 3 more years.
And they like Justin Ross from Clemson.
Absolutely. Red-shirted, basically.
Red-shirted, yeah. So we'll see. That's a flyer.
And then they have 10 picks in the 2023 draft.
Yeah.
People need to understand that's the brilliance of Brett Veach. Like, not only seeing we'll find a way without Tyreek Hill because I have 15. But they have set themselves up much in the same way Howie Roseman did in Philadelphia with the wheeling and dealing he's done to get them in a cap-friendly space. But we've already sort of seen, we're hearing things from Cincinnati. Well, I don't know if we can sign T. Higgins and Joe Burrow. Like, they've got Mahomes on that deal, and they've already done the wheeling and dealing to set themselves up for at least another 5 years.
Yep, absolutely. And they did it with literally the most expensive quarterback to play in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
His $36.8 million salary cap number is $11 million more than any quarterback has had as a salary cap hit, and his percentage of 17% is 3% higher than any other quarterback's percentage to the salary cap that has ever played in a Super Bowl. And as we talk about moving forward, it doesn't seem like that's going to be, wait till Mahomes costs you a lot of money.
No, and by the way, they'll probably rework that deal either this offseason or next offseason, which will make it even more cap-friendly for another 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, they'll continue doing that. Brett Veach has done a phenomenal job. Trey Wingo is our guest, Football Insiders and Caesar Sportsbook. Patrick Mahomes, do we wake up tomorrow with the 2-time MVP Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if you are pretending like he's not the runaway choice, you're just pretending. Again, what did we say? Why is Jalen Hurts better? Because he got somebody. Why is Tua better? Because he got somebody. Patrick lost, if not the second most explosive receiver in football. Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, you fight it out. I don't care. They're 1-2, however you want to slice it up. And he had the most passing yards, most passing touchdowns, single season record for most combined yards, number one scoring offense, and number one offense based on yards per game. That's not possible unless you're 15. Mm-hmm. Like, I was Championship Sunday days old in my life when I realized there was a receiver for the Chiefs named Marcus Kemp. How did I know that? Because he caught a fourth quarter first down conversion from Patrick Mahomes. When you lost Juju and Kadarius and McCole, Patrick was like, whatever, we're going to make this work.
Yeah, you had
over my dead body.
Right.
Yeah.
Marcus Kemp was on the practice squad the week before.
Yeah.
And he got elevated because the Bengals, hey, credit to the Bengals, they do what they do. Chris Lamons was a special teams ace for Dave Tobe and a cornerback. They put him on waivers so they could activate McCole, and the Bengals claimed him.
Which was a brilliant move on their part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they had to activate Marcus Kemp.
Yeah.
And with the wide receivers going down, they had an extra wide receiver instead of a cornerback in Chris Lamons.
Yeah.
And so sometimes some things work in your favor. Marcus Kemp came through. They had a third-string tight end and their fifth and sixth receiver out there on the field at times in the fourth quarter trying to score points against that Bengals defense. And
which is a really good defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And they were able to get it done. Do you have a feel for the game on Sunday, what you think might happen and who wins?
Well, look, this game is so evenly matched. They were both 16-3. They both scored the same number of points through those 19 games. They both have 6 Pro Bowlers. They both started Kelsey brother. I mean, it's just it's right
amazing.
Down the line. But I believe at the end of the day, the Chiefs know if you've gone to 5 straight AFC Championship games and you've gone to 3 Super Bowls in 4 years and you only have 1 ring to show for it, that's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be considered what the Packers were of the 60s, what the Steelers were of the 70s, what the Niners were of the 80s, what the Cowboys were of the 90s, and what the Patriots have been of the 2000s and the 2010s, you need to win Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. And they understand. This has nothing to do with Mahomes' legacy, in my opinion. The legacy of this Chiefs team and the current run they're on, 1 is not enough. And I think they'll make sure of that on Super Bowl Sunday and stamp their legacy as the team of the moment, a dynastic team.
Trey Wingo was our guest. Do you have a prop that you really like that to pass along that maybe you're feeling?
How about a safety in the Super Bowl, okay? Now, let me explain. We've had, 9 and 4 in the last 14 games? 4 in the last 14 Super Bowls?
Okay.
We have the top 2 sack teams in the NFL, 1 and 2. Seems like it's a perfect time to set up for a safety if somebody's pinned deep, and it's plus 835, so it's potentially low risk, very high reward.
Okay, we'll mark that one and see if that one comes through. Trey Wingo, Trey, really appreciate the time.
Hey,
thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Anytime, and I'm sure you guys will be back here again. If not next year, very soon.
Yeah, I'm hoping next year in Vegas will be a lot of fun.
That would be good. And don't forget, if you open up the Caesars Sportsbook app, which is live in Kansas right now, we have quick picks there that make the game a really sort of a same game parlay. A lot of fun. Just quick picks to go in there and make the game more interesting.
Awesome. Trey, really appreciate the time. Thank you so much, man.
You got it, man. Take care.
There's Trey Wingo joining us here in the zone.
Smith was here too.
What was that? What was that?
Emmitt Smith was here too.
And Emmitt Smith. And Rondé Barber walked by. Yeah,
future Hall of Fame.
And he'll be here in like 10 minutes, I think, so who else is going to stop by and walk by and make a cameo in the background there as an extra? He was just a Rondé Barber and Emmitt Smith, an extra in our Trey Wingo conversation. That's what it's about. We'll take a time out. We'll come back. We will continue rolling right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Jason loves talking. I don't know about you, but Jason is a fan of Jason's show.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Loving some Church's chicken as well, man. It's Rondé Barber is hanging out with us here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm very good, Jason.
See, I was just trying to be like some of the professional athletes that like to talk in the third person from time to time.
A lot of truth is spoken in jest, Jason. So.
Have you ever said, Rondé Barber's just trying to get out there and make a stop? Look, Rondé's going to shut that guy down on Sunday.
If Rondé Barber goes out and plays his best game, Rondé Barber's going to be, No, I never did that. I can absolutely say I never did that.
Do you think Church's chicken is like, Church's chicken is the best chicken? Right. I mean, let me tell you about Church's chicken.
Church's chicken is saying Church's chicken was founded 70 years ago, and Church's chicken's available on Sunday for Super Bowl 57.
Darn
All
right.
All you got to do is get your party pack and go pop some jalapeno poppers and some honey glazed biscuits.
It's right in front of me right now.
I know you didn't have. I know there's no food on Radio Row, so I came bearing gifts.
This will be the first day I'll have lunch.
There you
go.
No joke. You're very welcome.
You are
on
coming
behalf
through,
of
man.
Church's Chicken.
Hey,
you are very welcome.
Let me tell you, I would have chosen it as well. You give me choices in the line. Like, let me get the Church's Chicken. Let me get some of that.
Oh,
probably be enjoying it on Super Bowl Sunday as well. Founded in San Antonio with those Texas roots and those awesome biscuits and chicken as well. Man, it is awesome stuff. So I am looking forward to. I don't think I should eat it during the interview, but it's warm right now.
You can eat it. I'll just do the talking. How about that?
Well, if my listeners know me, they'll be like, Jason won't let that happen.
Jason's not going to
let that. Jason loves himself some Jason. Jason likes to talk. There's one Jason that likes to talk.
How about Rondé loves some Jason?
You know what? And Jason loves some Rondé. And
go.
I'm hoping the voters will love some Rondé.
I'm hoping that as well, dude. This is a pretty exciting day. Obviously, the honors tonight. The Hall of Famers will be revealed, and this will be a good class. There's a lot of good names on the list. I mean, obviously, there's good names every single year, but the guys that are on the list this year are guys that are all peers of mine, friends of mine that I played with and against, and I'm excited for the evening. It's a great way to start off. Super Bowl week. Not that it hasn't been going on for a week and a half now, but this Thursday feels like the real jump off for Super Bowl 57.
Are they and pardon my ignorance on this, are they announcing? Will you know when they announce? Do you get the knock like we've seen in the past? Is it a phone call? Like, how do you find out if you have been, which had better happen? How do you find out that you've been enshrined in the Hall of Fame?
I will just say, I can neither deny nor confirm anything that you just said.
Okay, so it may be a phone call and maybe a knock at the door. It may have already happened. I have no idea.
Exactly.
I have no idea. But, as that what's that feeling like? Is it because you've been through it before and you should have already received the phone call and the knock? But that's probably not something you're like, look, if it happens, great. But what's that experience like waiting for that?
It's not a great experience, but it's an anxious experience and exciting. Like it's like when you're having a baby for the first time. It's like it's coming, but you're not really ready for it. And when it does come, you don't really know what to expect. It's like it's one of those things that is going to be believable because obviously the stats and the career is there, but something that's also very unbelievable at the same time because you're going into a room and getting on a team that only has 360, 70 some people in it, and that's considering the hundreds of thousands, if not more, players that have played professional football, to be the top 0.3% of that.
Yeah.
That's pretty awe-inspiring.
And the percentage of everybody that's ever played football before.
Right. Yeah,
and to be with the 0.03% of those that have played at the highest level.
Exactly.
Of those that have never even come close to playing at the highest level. It's a rarefied air. Talking to some of the players here, it's like do you let yourself go there in thinking about holding the Lombardi Trophy, or do you just got to focus on one thing at a time, right? And most of them are like, no, just got to focus on the game. If it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
Do you ever let yourself go there of, boy, what would it be like to be on the stage when they take that towel off and and I see the bust that's there?
I'll put it this way. Mike Tomlin was my coach from 2001 until 2005. We left to go to Minnesota the year before he became Pittsburgh's head coach. But he had a saying, and the destination is what it is. You'll get to the destination at some point, but you have to embrace the journey. You have to enjoy the journey, whatever that journey entails. So in a football season, it's, hey, we won the Super Bowl in 2002, but it was the journey that got us there, right? It's the OTAs and the mini camps and training camp, and then the one or two tough, really games or the blowout wins. All that's part of the journey. You just have to enjoy it, and so it's a little bit more difficult thinking about my journey to the Hall of Fame now, or potentially to the Hall of Fame, because I don't have any say over it. I can't force my will on it. I can't do anything other than what's already on my player resume.
Yeah, so the resume doesn't change.
It doesn't change anymore, right? I remember talking to Jim Porter, the new head of the Hall of Fame, last year when I didn't get in, and he was saying, sorry, you didn't get in this year, yada, yada, yada. We had a good 10-minute conversation, and I said, Jim, it's not like I can go put on my pads and get any more stats.
No, I looked. You had 2 more interceptions this year.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't see that? I got one on the way here to your table.
Guaranteed now. Guaranteed. A lot of the talk this week has been about the Kelsey brothers.
Right.
What's that like in the NFL with a brother? You guys played opposite sides of the ball. Right. They played the same side, but different positions. Yeah. What's that like?
I feel like there's more and more of them, I think about the Pouncey twins, right?
There's the Watts. There's 15 of them.
Right. Tons of Watts, the Bosas, obviously the McCourtys, the other twins that were playing. One of them just retired. But yeah, it's pretty cool to be in a separate club of the NFL, of a brother that played and had success also in the NFL. Obviously, my brother had a great career for New York Giants or whatnot, and I always felt like somehow, even though we played different positions, I wanted to upstage him. It's like,
how do you do that as a corner versus a running back?
Well, he scores a touchdown. Well, God, I gotta score a touchdown. I mean, obviously, he scored way more touchdowns than me, but I like to say that I was the less popular, much more talented barber. And I wonder if
better looking,
of course. That goes without saying. Jason, come on, man. I always wonder if the other brothers in the league think that the same way. Because obviously we're rooting for each other's success, but you also you can't fight sibling rivalry.
Yeah,
like, it's just there, man.
And we got one in the Super Bowl,
right? And to do it in the Super Bowl is insanity. I mean, obviously, I think Travis Kelce's one of if not the best tight end in history. He's different. I know that Tony Gonzalez has those numbers. Obviously, Antonio Gates. There's been great Kellen Winslow Sr., Gronk, obviously Gronk, who's in Tampa. But Travis does things that nobody else does. He's fluid in the hips. He finds space. He gets open. He makes people miss. He's just different, Yeah. And I think he's the second leading receiver in the playoffs this year. Or whatever his numbers are, they shouldn't be what tight ends do. I obviously it helps to have a great quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, but even knowing that they're a tight end centric offense, really a Travis Kelce centric offense, he still produces.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, and I'm going off just trying to go off memory, but he's played roughly 17 games in the playoffs, so a full season, and he has 122 receptions, 1,500 yards, and 15 touchdowns.
Yes.
So it's a full season of playoff football.
Right.
That's what he's done.
Yeah.
Over
So to me,
season.
that separates him from all those other guys. And when teams go into every single game they play, whether it's playoffs, regular season, or Super Bowl, we have to stop Travis Kelce, and yet nobody is able to stop Travis Kelce. It's one of those things. I mean, and I think Andy Reid's a genius. There'll be times where he's, they're double teaming Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid will just block him like he's sitting at the line of scrimmage, and two people are covering nobody. It's just he just creates those disadvantages for other teams. I think that'll be one of the more fascinating parts of this upcoming Super Bowl.
Rondé Barber's our guest with Church's Texas Chicken. They're going to make the right decision by putting him in the Hall of Fame. You can make the right decision for your Super Bowl party with Church's Chicken. I'm going to make the right decision for lunch when we're done with this one.
Bold flavors, big portions, baby.
It seems like Brett Veach made a lot of right decisions on the cornerbacks that he chose in the draft. A first-rounder, a second-round safety, a fourth-round cornerback, and a seventh-round cornerback, and those guys are stepping up. How difficult is that to see the rookies that have had to play bigger roles in the secondary to acclimate to the NFL, and then to step up and say, well, we got you out on an island with T. Higgins. You got to go get Jamar Chase.
It's different now. I think these guys are more prepared to do it than, say, like when I came into the league. When I came into the league, it was It didn't feel like a track meet, because in college now everything's opened up, it's spread. They're covering all day anyways. When I came out, it was more structured, a lot more zone coverages. You always had help somewhere. It was simple. It was a simpler time. Let's put it that way. It was an easier.
You didn't
time.
walk uphill both ways.
Right, exactly. I did, but
right. Yeah, it's tougher
I
for you.
don't use that. But yeah, these guys to watch what they did in the championship game last week after L'Jarius Sneed got hurt. Had the head injury at the beginning of the game.
4 plays in the game.
Right, 4 plays in the game.
And he was going to follow Jamar
right.
Chase. He was going to travel
and
with
then
Chase.
all of a sudden, you're like, okay, change of plan.
Yeah.
Spagnola's done a great job with this defense, and they're not the defense that Philly is. The numbers won't say that. The players, the depth on the depth chart won't say that they're that. But I think he has done a great job this year, working with what he has. I mean, it helps to have Chris Jones, right? Because I think it's all respect to those great defensive linemen for the Philadelphia Eagles. Chris Jones, the best defensive lineman, still playing, right? And I think you can work around him, and they have. He's done a great job creating or crafting this defense and putting these young guys in a position where they can succeed, even if it's guarding T. Higgins or having to guard Jamar Chase or having to deal with A.J. Brown's big old tail this weekend. That's going to be going to be where it matters.
And adjusting on the fly, because your responsibility is not to guard Jamar Chase. Sneed's going to travel with Jamar Chase.
Yes.
Okay, Sneed's not traveling with Jamar Chase now.
Yes.
So now we're switching things up, and you better adjust on the fly with that. Rondé Barber's our guest. Who do you think? Do you have a prediction and who you feel is going to win on Sunday?
I think this is going to be a great game. I'll never tire of the storylines in this one with the Jalen Hurts and obviously 2 black quarterbacks, first time in a Super Bowl. But I do. I think that Kansas City's been there 3 out of 4 years, right? And Philadelphia hasn't played an elite quarterback yet. They had beginning of the year they had Jared Goff, who had a good game on them, and other than Dak Prescott later in the year, they haven't played a guy like Pat Mahomes. So that's my prediction. They've been there, done that. I trust Andy Reid. He is a genius. He'll find a way to beat this great defense.
I wasn't really listening to what you said. I was eating some Church's chicken. It was pretty good. I'm going to listen back to what the prediction was. Everybody listening was
probably doubting what I'm saying.
Enjoying what you said. I'll just ask them. Hey, what did Rondé say? I think he picked the Chiefs. I think he did. You're the man. Really appreciate it. Pulling for you, man.
Yeah, thanks,
I really hope tonight's a special night for you.
Me too.
And looking forward to this summer to have another special day for you there.
Absolutely.
In Canton. Thank you so much.
Cheers, buddy.
Rondé Barber hanging out with us. Church's Texas Chicken, and whew, I need a break just so I can eat some more. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone right after this.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB. You're in the zone with Jason Anderson
To be honest, I didn't even know who Jason Anderson was.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Thank you to Rondé Barber and Trey Wingo. Jamar Chase walking by right over there. Interesting. See if we can get Jamar Chase on the show. Josh, what would you ask Jamar Chase if he sat down with us?
I was trying to feed it back to Beards, and Beards was feeding it back to me, and we were too good at teammates. We both wanted to pass.
Okay.
I would just try to tackle him on the and just see if you could be the first guy to hit him, if you could bring him down, if he wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, if he wasn't expecting it, that's right. I think I would be kicked out if I just ran up and tackled Jamar Chase right now.
Did he push off of everybody as he was walking through the crowd?
How much separation did he create from his people around him?
He just needed more calls.
He
would like to get more calls.
I mean, that is certainly the thing.
I would ask him about that, and then he said he needed more calls, and I would reply with, well, the people guarding you probably think the same thing. So I don't think he'd want to come on in KC. I'm not sure. That'd be great if we had him, though. I'd love to get his thoughts on that game leading up to it, how many people were smoking that Eli pack after the game was over, and everything else that was taking place with that. So that was nice. We'll talk with Steve Mariucci coming up at about 12:15 or so, and then we'll also hear from some of the Chiefs that we talked to this morning out there at their team hotel. Malcolm Butler will join us. Ron Jaworski will talk with him. We're going to catch up with Frank Caliendo. Rich Eisen will be here as well. And I only really want to talk to Rich Eisen about Henry Winkler. I can ask Rich, hey, what do you think of the matchup, Rich? And blah, blah, blah. But how about the fact that you brought Henry Winkler and Chiefs Kingdom and Patrick Mahomes together? So we'll talk about that. But anyway, Josh, we were at this restaurant last night, okay?
Yes, I want to hear the rest of the story. Tell Trey Wingo to stay away.
Yes, I mean, Trey, we're trying to get to the story. And so we're at the table, and we're eating, and we're done. We're getting ready to leave, and everybody's wrapping up. Chad pays the $5,000 tab for us. I'm guessing it was that. I'm not sure. It was ridiculous.
Well, what did everybody else eat?
That was for me. I had a nice appetizer, seafood tower. I had a bone-in ribeye, ribeye, and I had a butter cake for dessert, and I had a rough night after that.
Big butter cake guy, Jason Anderson, by the way. I learned that last year.
I've had 2 butter cakes in my life, Charlie's in Tampa and Mastro's in Phoenix, 2 of them. They were phenomenal. Charlie's was amazing, though. I'm trying to recreate that. You know, you get that one, that first love, right? That first love, the one that gets away.
That first
taste. Try to recreate that.
Mm-hmm.
Get that first taste of that butter cake in Tampa. Can't find it. Looking for it.
What are we talking about now? We're still talking about butter cake?
We are. And so we're getting ready to leave, and in walks, this bigger guy, and it's about 8 girls around him. And he goes and sits down. I'm like, damn, that's Justin Fields. That's Justin Fields sitting at a table of 10 with 9 girls and him.
Wow.
And the thing is, though, like, he obviously has a lot of money, right? Like, we know that. But the girls he was with, they didn't, because they couldn't afford clothes because they were barely wearing any. It was odd. I didn't know what to think. I'm like, I feel so bad for them.
You know what Justin was doing there?
They were wearing like half their wardrobe.
You know what Justin was doing there, Jason?
What was he doing?
Playing the fields.
That was just in time before the break. Nice job.
I hope he's staying healthy.
I think he looked pretty healthy last night.
Super Bowl.
This SportsCenter is brought to you by University of St. Mary. Earn your MBA in as little as 1 year at the University of St. Mary. Join USM for a virtual info session at 6 p.m. on February 23rd. Register at stmary.edu/RSVP. Andy Reid has continued to give good news on the injury front for the Kansas City Chiefs, just days away from Super Bowl 57. However, yesterday's injury report provided one piece of concerning news, along lots of good, excellent updates for the Chiefs. The good news, full participation for Patrick Mahomes, Juju Smith-Schuster, Willie Gay, Jerick McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco, and Trey Smith. Smith-Schuster's knee swelling was a limiting factor in and after the AFC Championship game, making his participation big news. The bad news, Kadarius Toney was limited yesterday with an ankle hamstring, but Reid said today that Toney did, quote, everything yesterday that was planned for him to do. Signs are pointing up. Back to Jason Anderson, live from Radio Row.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Dip him in once, flip him over, dip him in again. I don't know.
Oh, a double dip.
I would double dip the baby.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Is this the last segment of this hour, or is this the first segment of the next hour?
Listen,
Tighten it up, Jason.
I've got a lot going on back here.
I know you do. I've got a lot going on here, so I was kind of confused there for a second. So we'll produce on the fly. So
no, this is the first segment of the noon hour.
Let's do it. First.
This is actually the first segment of the show, Jason. Nothing you've done so far has been live.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
And also,
absolutely,
we didn't even hit record on Trey Wingo. I don't know what happened. We just weren't even thinking about it. We just went, we'll just hang out and listen. Beards and I were just listening along, nodding along.
Don't worry about it at all.
Just
Jamar
forgot
Chase
to
walking by.
turn your.
Smart Chase. Jamar, you want to come on in Kansas City? No? Okay. Cool. He said he ignored me. He just walked right on by. That's fine.
Got to shadow him. Got to hit him low.
Didn't even acknowledge me. That's fine. Cynthia Frelund here. Oh, Cynthia, hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Is that actually Cynthia? I couldn't tell if you're pretending to have a friend there.
No. Just hugged her.
Will she put on a headset for like 30 seconds?
She just walked away. She is in a hurry. She was walking in a hurry, saw me.
I'm not sure if she was really there then.
Beards, your thoughts?
Immediately veered, and then gave me a hug, and then said, so good to see you, or whatever she said. I'm not really sure, or I missed you so much, and then walked directly down the aisle.
Was that just Pamela whispering far away from the microphone?
There was a woman's voice, but I couldn't tell who it was. I'm hearing two options here, Beards. I've got two things. One, Jason's totally made it up, and he was doing both voices himself. Or it's just what he said is true, and Cynthia was in such a hurry to get away from Jason again that she stiff-armed him like Jamar Chase would.
That's probably the right one. Although, how would she have tried to get away from me when she was walking to where she was and she veered next to me?
She was probably looking at her phone, doing some models, getting some stats.
Tripped, stumbled over this way.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh no! Hey, you!
Somebody waved her over, and then all of a sudden, before she knew what happened, you were there. You're like, James. It's so good to see you, James.
James Anderson with Cynthia over there.
I'm Cynthia Frelund, and I talk like this now. James Anderson.
James Anderson with Susan Frelund. All right, let's talk to Kalen Saunders, or Colin. Colin, not Kalen. I did that on purpose because of the wrong names. I don't need the emails. So caught up with Colin Saunders this morning out at the team hotel. And boy, he is so much fun to be around. Let's just take a listen to the conversation we had with one of the happiest, jolliest members of the Chiefs, as so many people serious sitting around at their tables talking to media members, and Colin Saunders was just laughing and smiling the entire time. Here's that conversation.
All right, so Colin Saunders. So the Chiefs put out the video of you mic'd up on opening night. Do you feel that responsibility when you go up to teammates to let them know, hey, I'm mic'd up, guys?
Absolutely. You can't, you got that's what's being a good teammate is. Got to make sure the guys know. Just in case, I'm one of those guys who talk to everybody and everybody talks to me, so make sure they know before we just pursue a normal conversation.
You ever have to go back to them like, hey, this happened at this time. Maybe leave that part out.
Yeah, they know. The production dog does a great job. They know what can and can't stay on the clip. So.
Maybe a little wink over there, like, oh, let's cut that one out later on.
Absolutely.
Did the guys find out that it was video? Because you kept pausing for pictures.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a video camera.
I think they found out now. They might have seen the video by now, but yeah, no, they know me as a joking around. I be clowning around, so I don't think they was even thinking about it being a video.
Do you find it like a response, almost like on your shoulders, to keep everything a little more light? That this can be a stressful, like you're getting ready to play in the Super Bowl. It doesn't really feel like you go about life like that.
No, not at all. I'm always loose, man. Like even in the serious moments, it's not as far as like being immature in the moment, but I just like to relax. I don't like to stress myself out. Obviously that takes years off your life, man. I got kids at home, and I just want to live a good life. I always got to remember how lucky and blessed and fortunate everybody here is. I mean, even me and you. For you to be interviewing me right now, I mean, everybody here is blessed, man. And there are guys who, all over the world, America let alone, but there are guys who in different countries who can't even drink some water, can't even eat some food, don't have clothes on their back. So, man, I would be remiss if I was to be walking around here frumpy and grumpy all the time, man. I'm keep it loose, make sure everybody got a smile on their face, and then everybody's talking about me laughing. I mean, people like me when I laugh, everybody else laughs. So
it's infectious.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's I guess that's why everybody's like, oh, he's a goofy guy, because sometimes I'm not even trying to be goofy. I just laugh and people laugh. So, it is what it is.
Has that always been you? Has that been your whole life?
Yeah, absolutely. Like all the way back to middle school, elementary school, all of that. I just be kicking it, man. I'm lucky to say I went to a very diverse school coming up. So man, I make friends with anybody. It don't matter whatever it is to me. I'm gonna make friends.
I talked to you in Miami. The opening night, the media night in Miami, and that was 1 year since you had played in the Senior Bowl, and you had talked about having a kid and not knowing what life is like, and now you're talking about being blessed, and 4 years later, this is your third time. She's 4. Amazing, man, amazing. My daughter's almost 4, so like right there with you, and now like 3 out of 4 for you to be here in this situation, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's unprecedented. I could have never imagined making it to the NFL, let alone making it to 3 Super Bowls. So that's why you hear me say blessed, lucky, all those words so much. Because man, there are guys, I'm not above it. There are guys who are way better than me at the game of football and never get a chance to make it to the Super Bowl. I mean, we got Carlos Dunlap, who 100 sacks, Hall of Fame career, and he's like, man, thank y'all so much, man. It got me here, and I'm like, man, like that just puts it in perspective. Like, don't take anything for granted, because I'm lucky to have come into my first year and win one, but that's not the case for about 99% of people. So I'm happy, man. This is amazing.
Yeah, you've played in as many Super Bowl games as Carlos Dunlap now has playoff wins.
Right.
I mean, that's crazy.
I mess with him all the time. I be telling him, like, call him old, stuff like that, and I always tell him when we started the playoffs, I told him, you only a veteran in the regular season. I'm the vet in the playoffs. I told him to carry my pads in. He didn't take to that too lightly. But no, it's all joking, But yeah, it's crazy. I am like kind of a veteran in this in the Super Bowl in the playoffs. I'm a veteran compared to some of my teammates that have played like 8 years. So it's crazy, man. It's fun.
Does it help you for this week, knowing what it was like in Miami? The Tampa one was a little different, obviously. Andrew Wiley said it felt like just a regular road game almost. That one.
Exactly.
But does it help that you've been through this before and this isn't new for you?
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's why I said I mentioned like feeling like a vet of the group, because guys are coming up to me like, hey, what do we got? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's just opening night, go there, blah blah blah. And I'm like, wow, I really feel old now. Like, I got all, and as you can see, our defense is comprised of like all 1, 2, and 3 year players. players. So, you know, I'm like telling them, yeah, you know, this is what we do. And it's just funny because it's like, wow, I've only been in the NFL for 4 years, and I'm telling these guys like I'm a 10-year veteran or something like that. But yeah, definitely that Tampa Bay one was not, you know, it wasn't a good, I mean, we lost one, but two, it wasn't, it was like a away game. You know, the vibe of the whole week and media and, you know, being able to go out kind of where you're playing up until that weekend, it's just a whole different feeling.
Yeah. Is Jabroni used a lot more around the facilities now since that game?
No, Jabroni has been used around the facilities before that game.
Okay.
You guys are catching the tail end of it, really. Like, that's been used all year.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then last one for you. Andy Reid had his 3 favorite rappers. Did you hear him answer the question about who his 3 favorite rappers were?
No, I didn't.
Brandon Marshall asked him, and he said Jay-Z. He said, I think who else would a Master P, and he said Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne's. What do you think of those 3? Nothing from St. Louis though.
It don't matter. Lil Wayne, my favorite rapper too.
Okay,
so
there you go.
He got excellent taste.
Okay,
that's my coach for sure.
All right, Colin, appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
I love Colin Saunders, man. Everybody, like so many guys are serious, and he just over there smiling, laughing, and everything. Like that way of going about life is amazing, and certainly he was drafted into a great position. I mean, 3 out of 4 years that he's been in the NFL, he's going to the Super Bowl. So we'll see if he can make an impact on Sunday for this Chiefs team. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We will hang out with former NFL head coach of the 49ers and the Detroit Lions, and a guy who's worked closely with Andy Reid before. Steve Mariucci will be our guest. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch.
Kansas City Comets take on the Florida Tropics this Friday at 7 p.m. The other team in town wearing red has a big game this weekend with playoff implications on the line. So join us at Cable Dahmer Arena to watch 2 playoff contenders battle it out on the blue turf as the Comets look for revenge against last season's semifinal playoff loss to the Tropics. Visit our friends at Tickets for Life.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
You could have also gone.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, our coverage presented by Blue Note Bourbon, ranked among the very best whiskeys worthy of your attention by Whiskey Advocate. Pick up some Blue Note Bourbon for the big game and all your occasions. 913-912-4810 is the text line. Text says she probably thought Jason was Brisco and gave him that hug. Text says, oh yeah, Mitch Holtis is at Jason's house right now. That wasn't nice. He's here. I've seen him. I saw him at the hotel this morning. That's impossible. Can he train? I mean,
he's got private jet money.
Well, I saw him at, let's see. Saw him at 9 o'clock or 8:30.
Are you sure that was him, Jason?
Oh, son of a gun. You're right.
It was a clone.
It was his good twin.
The angel and the devil.
No, Beards, that's a killer joke. I just want you to know that I think that was a really good one.
Yeah. No. It's nice of you guys. I appreciate it for playing
No,
along.
that one wasn't even at your expense, really. I frankly don't think that you necessarily got exactly what Beards did there, and that's okay. I'll explain it when you're older.
Yeah, we'll talk to you when you're of age, okay? But right now, it's too mature for you. What's the joke? I want to know.
No, don't worry about it. I think us explaining it makes it worse. But I'll text you.
Yeah, text me. And then for those on the text line that ask what the joke is, text them too.
No, they can figure it out. I think. Look, that's what the podcast is there for. Go re-listen to the podcast and see if you can get Beards' sneaky. Sometimes Beards' jokes are Easter eggs that you like. Sometimes you have to play it in reverse or like at double speed or half speed.
That's right. Yeah.
It's really next level listening.
Okay. If you play the entire Trey Wingo interview backwards, he actually talks about a good and bad twin.
That's right.
But you guys didn't record it, so it doesn't matter. So you can't actually play that backwards. So,
no.
Those things happen. How about back to back? Have we had a Chiefs pick all week? And then back to back, Trey Wingo and Rondé Barber picked the Chiefs to win.
Dude, I have really felt good about myself when you have not been able to remember who said things like the prop queen and all of that, because I also I got a bowl of spaghetti up here. I got a Suns hat sitting on top of a bowl of spaghetti. That's where I'm at right now.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't remember anything that's happened for 3 days.
Yeah, I'm with everything is just running together, and I'm like, have we already talked to this person, or we're going to talk to this person? When did we talk to? No, we're not talking to Mike Golic. I talked to him yesterday. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, I definitely talked to Mike Golic yesterday. And then we're having Trey Wingo tomorrow. One of those days we'll have him. And yeah, it all sort of runs together. Like I'm writing things down, but I'm not writing them down next to like the names of the people, because most of the stuff I'm talking with them about, I'm taking notes on a different piece of paper. It's just like, okay, this guy's sitting down now. Okay, well, as he's talking, let me take notes on other things I want to ask him. And so then I look back and I'm like, Eagles, a better team. Eagles are better. Hard to go against Mahomes, but going with Eagles.
Hey,
can I connected to a name?
Can I hit you with this from briefly our conversation yesterday? It's a question I asked at the top of the show as you were out there getting the audio at the Chiefs availability.
Yeah.
We've talked about the better quarterback, better team narrative. Mm-hmm. There's a counter argument to this, but I could make at least a non-dumb argument that you would use your first, second, and third picks on like a team draft all on Chiefs.
Well, Mahomes, for sure.
Mahomes is clearly one. And then Chris Jones is the best defensive player in this game. No disrespect to Hassan Reddick. He's excellent. Mm-hmm. Chris Jones is a DPOY candidate with Bosa and Parsons. And then it's Travis Kelce or A.J. Brown. Like, that's a real argument. It could depend on the style of offense you want to play. I would take Travis Kelce, at least for Patrick Mahomes. So what are we doing with this, like, better roster thing? Is that just, the fact that the Eagles go 6 or 7 deep on the D-line, which they do? That's legit. But I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a cliche at this point.
No, I think you say, okay, their offensive line is better. Okay. Their defensive line is better. Okay. Their receiving core is better. Okay. Their defensive backs are better. Okay. So while we go through those and say, yes, they're better, the question also becomes like, okay, how much incrementally are those particular players better than what the Chiefs offer? Certainly the defensive line is really darn good, and the offensive line is good, but the Chiefs' offensive line is still good themselves, and how much then Patrick Mahomes makes up for that. It's interesting to sort of be of two minds on this. On one, it's like, look what Brett Veach has done in building the roster and draft picks and these guys stepping up and making big plays, and he has, knocked it out of the park with these draft picks and how good they are and all of this stuff. And then the flip side be like, but the Eagles are the better roster.
Yeah, good
overall.
point. Yeah, well, look at the job Brett Veach has done to make this second best roster in football underneath the best quarterback, tight end, and defensive tackle.
Yeah, I mean, but also, like, I think it's a little so we say defensive line, offensive line, cornerbacks, wide receivers. That's a good number of position groups that are better, but depth after that. Are the Eagles better depth after that? Are they really better 2 through 53 overall, or are the Chiefs are the Chiefs better 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the Eagles 5 through 30, and there's more depth there, and then 31 through 48, the Chiefs are better. And then 48 to 53, the Eagles are better. And it's like, okay, so how are you weighting it and balancing it? Does 1, 2, 3, 4, or what you're talking about, 1, 2, 3, does that outweigh the 4 through 12 or 13 or 14 that may be better if you're just comparing, apples to apples and things like that? Like, I don't think it is as cut and dry. I think it is one of the more overrated isn't the right word.
I keep going back to it feels kind of like a cliche at this point. We're like 3 days into Radio Row, and it feels like that's kind of the trope, perhaps.
Yeah. I think it's one of the more overstated discussion points of Radio Row and this week is that it's become cliche. Eagles are the better roster. Patrick Mahomes is better. Are you going to pick against Patrick Mahomes? Are you going to pick for the better roster? All of that stuff. So those are the big questions that you have. As we're going to talk with Steve Mariucci in just a little bit, but right now we are going to hang out with Malcolm Butler, who is sitting down with us right now, and that would be Super Bowl champion Malcolm Butler, known to a lot of people out there. Malcolm, how are you, sir?
How you doing?
I am doing just fine, man. I'm doing just fine. So I want to talk some Super Bowl with you, but Revive. So what's going on with this? I see this box in front of me, this Revive Recovery Care, this sleeve that goes along with this. What's this deal?
Man, Mueller Sports been in business for over 60 years, man, and they got this new product, Revive Recovery Boots. Man, it get the soreness out your leg, get the acid out your legs, and it's just something that everyone should invest in, man. I use it with my kids I train. I use it when I train. It's recovery, man. It's not just for athletes. It's for firefighters. You can be a nurse, PE coach. Like, it's going to bring you back, man, and I think it's a great investment.
So it's it's not just the athletes, it's the weekend warriors and the pros and the Joes.
Yes, sir.
So what does it do? Like, I see the sleeve and it's a recovery thing, which is pretty cool. I myself I am realizing how old I'm getting that I strained my calf for the first time ever, and I have a very newfound appreciation of athletes that are dealing with calf strains. Because you hear that, right, as a non-athlete, you're like, oh, come on, you strained your calf. Come on, get out there. Like, the second the balls on my feet touch the ground, I just feel this sharp, like, pulling and stabbing sensation. I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
How can somebody go play a game like this?
Yeah, I most definitely experienced that. But you should invest in these, man. They should invest. Like, they go from your thighs all the way down. They cover your feet all the way up to your thighs, man. And it's a great investment, man. They're going to rejuvenate you. They're going to bring you back.
I like
they're gonna bring you back, man. I'm telling you, it's a good investment. As a professional athlete, I'm telling you, I wouldn't play it. I wouldn't play as long as I have if I didn't use this.
Visiting with Malcolm Butler, our guest here, two-time Super Bowl champion. So, what do you think of when you think of the Super Bowl? You think of being here in Arizona. What comes to your mind when you think of your Super Bowl experiences?
Oh man, first of all. I can't believe it's been 8 years since I made that incredible catch, the incredible interception. But yeah, man, the Super Bowl experience, man, is nice, bro. And like being a player, to be able to have the experience to play in it, it only could just take me down memory lane. And I can imagine what the players are thinking and going through right now, as they got all these distractions going on, and you got to maintain focus. You got to be locked in, and you got all this hype. You're on TV, but at the end of the day, you got to win. And no matter how good you were during the season, man, it's all about that last game of the year.
You know, it was in Arizona when you made that catch.
Oh, yeah.
Right here.
Most definitely. And I was here. Nobody knew me.
Everybody knew you after that, though, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. On that play, did you is it just instinctual read and react? Did you see that on film? Was it part of something that you thought they may do down near the goal line and not just give it to Marshawn?
So I seen it. We went over the play in practice, and how I executed the play in the game, I didn't execute it the same way at practice. At practice, I went under the wide receiver. I don't know why I decided to do that, but I was not going to make that play in a million years. But when the play came up in the game, I said, this the play. And I said, if they run it, that's not my responsibility. But I said, if this the play that I went over, that I got incorrect at practice, I'm about to dominate this play right now. I'm about to execute this play. And I said, if this wide receiver take a jab step to the left, I'm gone. And that's what I did. And then the ball was right there. And the rest is history.
Yeah, and you caught it.
That's the thing about it. I caught it.
It's one thing just to knock it down.
Yeah,
right?
no, I'm talking about I caught it wide. Contact.
Yeah.
Like contact. Like the wide receiver went flying. Like I hit him like I was Ray Lewis.
I mean, it was almost like the roles were reversed. He was the defensive back, you were the receiver. You caught the ball, he makes contact to try to knock the ball loose. Instead, you hold on to it.
Yes, sir, man. Clutch moment, big-time player, made big-time plays, man.
Yeah.
And that was an unbelievable play, man. Like, that ball was coming at me so fast, I didn't know how to catch it, but I caught it.
Did you guys think, like, why didn't they just hand it off to Marshawn? Because that's been a big thing. Marshawn, the Seahawks aren't too excited about that. Even defensive players aren't too excited about that play and what happened on that.
I think that maybe Russell seen, like, the box was loaded because we had a package called Goal Line 3 Corners, and it's just 3 corners in there. Everybody else just big guys. He probably got a read from that and said, like, the box is loaded, so let's try this little pick route. But the thing about it, you know, Bill Belichick is a great coach, and he tries to go over everything. And I was like, we went over the play.
Yeah.
And I said, like, this the play. And I just made a play, man. And it sucks that it had turned out that way for him, but I'm happy it turned out the way it turned out for me.
That's exactly right. Malcolm Butler is our guest, and he's here with Mueller Sports Medicine, MuellerSportsMed.com. For the discount code, saving 23%, type in Radio 2023, Radio 2023, and you can save 23% on this awesome sleeve that helps you recovery. You get back on the job, back in the game, pain-free if you're going to wear one of these. You've been a part of 2 pretty incredible Super Bowls, one where you seal the victory with the interception, and then down 28-3. Like, that is those are 2 of the more discussed Super Bowls, and you were a part of both of those. You're down 28-3. I mean, how do you guys keep it together to still fight back and not just go, we gave it a good run. Not our night.
Man, when the game was going on, we would go in the locker room at halftime. I was like, this is over. This is over. But you got that number 12 in there, and he was like, this going to be the best effing comeback ever. Let's go. And I'm like, oh, man, whatever. I don't hear that, man. Boy, I kid you not. Boy, that boy came out there slinging that ball, man, and we came back, man, and that moment right there, I said, this guy is just different. You know, I knew he was a good quarterback, but when he said in that locker room, we coming back, and it's going to be the greatest comeback ever, and he did that, man, that changed my whole perspective of quarterbacks.
Was there so at that point you're like, okay, we can believe we can do this after, you know, as it's going on, but was there a point while that second half was going on that you went, oh bleep, this is attainable? Yeah,
man. Yeah, the defense locked in, and then the offense locked in. Then I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. You know, Hightower made a couple plays. Well, big play, big fumble, the script sack, and man, the rest is history.
Yeah.
Rest is history, man.
Awesome. Malcolm Butler is our guest. A big matchup this weekend is going to be the defensive backs of the Philadelphia Eagles and their secondary versus what the Chiefs are going to offer in Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and the Eagles with their wide receivers against a young secondary with 3-4 rookies there that might be playing out of a dime package at times. What do you see with these guys and the secondaries in this game, and who can maybe have the edge and have the better day on Sunday?
Well, see, I was a rookie, and I didn't start though. I didn't start in the Super Bowl. I just came in the second half. So, being a rookie, that really don't mean too much. You just got to know what the meaning of the game. But I like Darius Slay, and I like James Bradbury. I'm not too familiar with the Chiefs defensive back, but I know most of them rookies, but I know most of them been playing throughout the whole year.
Yep.
But the Chiefs, they got their hand full. You got A.J. Brown. I played with him in Tennessee. You got Smith. He's a good player. And the Chiefs got a few players that I like 10. I don't know all their names. It's like, at the end of the day, it's going to be a tough game. I don't even know who to pick. I said the Chiefs, but that Eagles defense just crazy. Like, Hurts got a team.
Yeah.
He got a real team. Like, he got offense and defense. Like Pat Mahomes, he got a good offense. And then he makes the offense. But if the Chiefs defense don't play so well, I think the Eagles gonna take it.
All right, but your prediction is the Chiefs?
I want the Chiefs to win, but man, that Eagles defense and the offense it's just too much. You got Jalen Hurts. He can RPO. He can run the ball. He can throw it. They can get the Sanders, and it's tough. It's kind of tough, but I'm gonna go Chiefs though. I'm gonna go Chiefs. I'm gonna go underdog.
All right, we'll see what happens. Malcolm Butler with Mueller Sports Medicine, MuellerSportsMed.com. Use discount code Radio 2023, Radio 2023. You get 23% off this awesome deal that can help you recover, back on the job, back in the game, and pain-free. Malcolm, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. There's a two-time Super Bowl champion, Malcolm Butler, joining us here in the Zone. We will continue rolling. We'll take a timeout. We will come back, and we'll see what else happens here on Radio Row on this Thursday edition of the Zone. More right after this.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
To your point, I'll grant you.
I don't want you to grant me anything.
No, I'm going to grant it.
I'm going to take it.
I'm granting this to you. I'm writing it right here.
I'm going to take this from you here in a second.
This is a grant.
Go ahead and
you
take
can have it when I pass. I am going to.
You don't pass very often.
I do not. No, I don't. I like to shoot. It's a black hole. You throw it to me, I'm shooting. Sorry, it's your fault. I mean, you shouldn't have passed it to me, you idiot.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. We are hanging out in Phoenix, heading up until 2 o'clock as we lead up to the Super Bowl. 57 Chiefs and Eagles joining us now. You hear him on Westwood One and the Rich Eisen Show. Rich Eisen joining us here. It would have been odd if Rich Eisen show.
Yeah, no, it's somebody
Jeff
else.
Rogers.
Somebody else. Good
Jeff
to see you, man.
Rogers. Absolutely, man. Thank you for being here.
Thanks
Appreciate
for having me.
Yes, you're making the rounds and doing all. You got your own show, and then you're going on all these other shows.
It's
as
a
well.
lot of fun.
Yeah,
it's great.
You got the honey with you for the voice?
The hot lemon with tea and honey. That's usually a Friday deal.
Okay.
And I was just saying, going out, it's just not a. My first few this is my 20th Super Bowl, so I just know that going out is it's a voice killer. But I'm glad to be here so I can tell Chiefs fans that I'm sorry that I chose the Raiders to win the AFC West this year. It is admittedly the worst take I've had in the 8-year history of the Rich Eisen Show. So I'm thrilled to have this platform as part of my Mea Culpa tour.
Right, yeah.
Where I thought that the Chiefs would still make the playoffs, but just wouldn't be the Chiefs that we've come to know and love for all these years. I was very wrong. I'm a moron. And I'm thrilled that I have a chance to say that directly to a fan base as incredibly forgiving.
Yes,
as Chiefs Kingdom. So
that's exactly right. You know what? As long as you just admit your mistake,
it's a terrible take. It is an awful take. I'm thrilled to see him back here. It's truly a dynastic situation, and I know so many Chiefs fans. For 50 years waiting for somebody like Mahomes to show up, and it's unreal.
Yeah,
truly spectacular.
Well, one of the things that's great, and I wanted to have you on, is you uncovered a huge Chiefs fan that people didn't know was a Chiefs fan and a Patrick Mahomes fan in Henry Winkler.
Yes.
That was your show that happened on.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing. We played that soundbite so often, and Henry Winkler is just he's
not great.
Not even in Kansas City, but he's taken over the town. You know, I mean, he's been on everybody's show now talking about Chiefs. He's doing these videos. I mean, all because of your show.
Well, it's because of him. I mean, we had him on to talk about his HBO show Barry.
Yeah.
And he interrupts me as I'm attempting to get him, as you know, doing this for a living. When there's somebody on who's promoting something, you give your platform to that person for that purpose at some point during the interview. So I was beginning to do that, and he interrupts me. He goes, "Do you know Patrick Mahomes?" And I told him that, I know him, sure.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And he just started talking about his love of his game and how the word that he used was improvisorial.
Improvisorial.
Was, very Gene Cousineau of him, if anybody who knows the show Barry.
Love it.
And he just gushed about him. And later on in the interview, after we returned to the subject matter, and he's like, do you think he watches? And I'm like, sure, okay, I don't know, but go ahead. And he just invited him for dinner, and it was delightful. And I direct messaged that video to Mahomes on Twitter, and he saw it, and he wrote back, "That's so cool." And so through the Monday Night Football Westwood One relationship, we had Mahomes on before a Monday night game, and I brought it up to him in an interview, and had no idea he would say, "I would love to invite him to be with my family when we come to Los Angeles." I didn't see coming also either. And so it finally happened that he was a man of his word. He did, in fact, give Henry Winkler all the passes, and he had him on the field, and he even had that jersey with Henry's name on the back of it, and he autographed it. It was just awesome, and I was just beaming like a kid, because I'm 53, so the fact that I could help the Fonz in any way, shape, or form, the 7-year-old and 53-year-old in me are all doing cartwheels,
And I did love how genuine and sincere it was when he looked at the camera. Hi, Patrick.
See, he goes, hi.
Hi, Patrick.
I make the most incredible chicken dish with ricotta and a reduction and all that sort of business. It was just awesome. And he's such a sweet human being, and
he really
and
is.
Mahomes is the same. Like they both clearly are humans who are just also just titans in their own respective way.
Yeah,
and I love it. So I couldn't be happier. And I'm assuming he's going to be here. I mean, I would imagine he'll be at the Mahomes Super Bowl.
I would hope he would be there.
Me too.
I mean, you find out he's a Mahomes fan, and Mahomes goes and is going to win MVP.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean,
wouldn't that be?
But Henry should be at every single game. Or it's like Jalen Watson, the Chiefs cornerback. His mom has been to 3 games, and he's got 3 interceptions.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
She's 3 for 3. Wow. So now he said that she's not allowed to miss games. She was going to miss the AFC Championship game, and he said no. She's like, I got to work. He goes, I don't care. You're coming to the game. Then he intercepted Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
so 3 for 3. So kind of like Henry Winkler. What do you think of this matchup?
Oh, I think it's stupendous. I think it's great. I mean, they're both 16-3 overall, both 1 seeds, both have MVP quarterbacks. They're very similar in their success, but Philadelphia is coming off a game in which they eviscerated their line, the trenches, and so it's truly a battle of teams that have special talents and special players. I wish I could figure it out.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be similar to the AFC Championship game, where it comes down to whoever has the ball last and whoever doesn't make the mistake to avoid having to play defense last. I mean, that's the way it happened in the AFC Championship game, and I truly see it coming down to something like
Working around the NFL, do you get the script beforehand?
Yeah, I already have it. Would you like to see it?
So you don't want to say what it is?
It's here somewhere.
It's got to be somewhere.
I know.
Act 1, Scene 1.
I know. I heard about that. It's insanity.
You're right. So you're not going to pick the Raiders to win the Super Bowl?
I am. They're not in it.
Okay, what? They weren't really in the
I said I'm sorry to start.
But were they in the AFC West this year?
They were barely in the AFC West this year. A terrible take I had, and I'm sorry.
Oh, you're perfectly fine. I picked the Bills all year, and I'm in Kansas. I picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl all year, and even at the beginning of the playoffs, I'm like,
hey, but I chose the Chiefs on NFL Network. I lone wolfed them over the Bengals, and I was on the Bengals train for much of the year. So.
Yes, you did, and we have Cynthia Frelund on weekly.
Oh, great!
And she stuck to her. She picked the Chiefs on our show, and then there's the graphic of all these different. You weren't on it but there was a graphic of all these different ones, and Cynthia. So I had people sending me. He's like, "Hey, Cynthia, stayed true. She picked the
stuck
Chiefs.
with it.
That's right, and she was right. So we'll see what happens coming up on Sunday, but it should be a fun one.
I agree.
And I'm hoping it's a good game, and we'll see what happens. But both of these really good teams, really well coached teams, and 2 good quarterbacks.
I agree with you.
And we'll see what happens. Rich, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
And also creating that special bond between Patrick Mahomes and Henry Winkler.
I am honored.
Great stuff.
I'm honored. Thanks for having me.
There's Rich Eisen joining us here in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB, and our coverage continues to be brought to you by Dream Lawn. Dream Lawn is here to disrupt the lawn care industry. At Dream Lawn, their products are all natural and help you and your lawn thrive. Professional golf courses, baseball stadiums, and acres of farmland are all making the change to Dream Lawn. Go to dreamlawn.com and learn about the difference. So thank you to Rich Eisen. We will be talking with Anthony Ramos here pretty soon at the top of the 1 o'clock hour, and see what he thinks about this Super Bowl this weekend as in Hamilton, in the Heights, star of the new Transformers movie coming out. Josh, are you jealous that Anthony Ramos is going to join us? Are you jealous that I just talked to Rich Eisen and we'll see about his 40-yard dash? Are you jealous about Trey Wingo? Are you jealous about the hug with Cynthia Frelund? Or anything?
Jason, right now we're in the midst of an absolute wild NBA trade deadline. The only thing I'm missing right now is the absolute breaking news sweeper abuse that we should be wailing on today. The Oklahoma City Thunder are trading Darius Bazley to the Phoenix Suns for Dario Saric and a second-round pick. Biggest Suns move of the day. Also makes me sad. I like Dario Saric.
Wow. Yeah, of the day, because was last night's deal before midnight?
It was after midnight Central.
Oh, okay.
Breaking news. Swoosh.
Well, Central, but was it Mountain Time? West Coast
we've been doing Radio Row here for a few days, and I still do not quickly have an answer for. I guess it might have been before. It might have been before midnight.
Phoenix
Mountain.
time?
Yeah. It would have been, I think.
So then that would be the biggest deal of the day for the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah. Unironically, I wasn't being sarcastic.
Also, just in case, like, Shane is listening, the Nuggets traded Bones Highland to the Clippers for 2 second-round picks.
Okay. It's big news. I should have had Rich Eisen weigh in on those trades. We should have just interrupted Rich Eisen with different breaking news sounders. Rich, this Henry Winkler, it's great, with with this connection there.
2 second-round picks for Bones Highland.
I said that already.
Yeah, but that was the joke. It's to recreate that, but with Rich Eisen.
The Phoenix Suns are trading for Kevin Durant. What? Why didn't I know about this?
I'll get Anthony Ramos' take on this. He'll be in the zone from In the Heights.
Mahomes.
This SportsCenter is brought to you by Greenlight Dispensary. Check out Greenlight Dispensary for their outstanding customer service, superior product, and discover why Greenlight is continuously voted Missouri's best. Open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. For more information and to find a location near you, check out greenlightdispensary.com. Andy Reid has continued to deliver good news on the injury front for the Kansas City Chiefs here in Super Bowl week. However, yesterday's injury report provided one piece of concerning news alongside lots of excellent updates for the Chiefs. The good news, full participation for Patrick Mahomes, Juju Smith-Schuster, Willie Gay, Jerick McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco, and Trey Smith. The bad news, Kadarius Toney was limited yesterday with an ankle and hamstring designation, but Reid said today that Toney, quote, did everything yesterday that was planned for him to do, unquote, leaving him open to continue to practice more as the week goes on. I'm Joshua Brisco. This is SportsCenter.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Text says, nope.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you as we head up until 2 o'clock. Hanging out now with Anthony Ramos.
What's up?
Is our guest here. You may know him from Hamilton. You may know him from In the Heights. You'll know him from Transformers movie coming out later on this year. What's up, man? How are you?
Yo, I'm so good. I'm so happy to be out here right now.
I'm very excited to talk with you, man. There's a lot of people probably sitting around that are jealous that I get this opportunity to talk with you, man. It is crazy what's happened with you in the last 5-6 years. What's it been like, living the life to where you're about to be the leading man in the Transformers movie?
Oh, it's wild, man. I feel so blessed and grateful. I've watched all of them. I watched all of them. I'm
Transformers fan. Yeah,
I was a Beast Wars. I've been a Beast Wars fan. Even the cartoon. I waited every Saturday, bro, for that thing to come on. You know what I'm saying? And now there's like this merger between the Beast Wars and the Autobots, and we're actually, you know what I'm saying? We're actually, they put it in the movie, man. And I'm just excited that we have that merger happening now. And there's the Terracons and the Predacons, and they're just starting to expand the world now in a really special way. And there's some surprises in the movie too that haven't been done that were in some of the early comics and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm super pumped, yo. The cast is crazy. Like Dominique Fishback, who's also from New York, and Pete Davidson and Peter Dinklage and Ron Perlman and Peter Cullen. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. Stephen Cable Jr., who did Creed 2, is directing. Yeah. Michael Bay's producing. Steven Spielberg producing. So it just feels like all the pieces of the puzzle for a special film, man. So I feel blessed, man.
Yeah, you got a couple 30-year-olds at U31. Capel is 34. In charge of. That's crazy. Usually when you're seeing a big production, it's like, no, we want this guy that's been around for 20, 30 years. That's a seasoned vet that knows all like a couple 30-year-olds. Let's put it in their hands.
Yeah.
Let's go, man.
I mean, those guys are watching us, though.
Oh, that's true.
Don't get it twisted.
That's true.
They over the shoulder, like, yo, what's going on over here? But they let the young guns, kind of run the show. So I'm excited, man.
How do you get chosen for the role? Do you reach out to them? Do they reach out to you? Do you have to audition? Is there any auditioning anymore for Anthony Ramos?
Yeah. Thankfully, not too much.
Good.
But me and Steven met. We just met over FaceTime or Zoom or one of and we talked for like about an hour and a half, and we connected. He had watched all the stuff that I'd been in, all the everything I'd been in, like, and he wanted to meet on the film, and he basically asked me, he was like, yo, bro, like, why do you want to do this movie? Like, what do you want to bring to this film? And I was like, yo, like, honestly, I want to make a movie that's not just about robots. I want people to care about the humans in this film, and I want, I want people to want not only the robots to win, but the humans to win. I want the audience to win, want them to win together, and I want to bring heart to this movie, man. I think these movies get so big, and there's all these special effects and all these crazy sequences, but I said I think there's a beautiful balance of that and what we saw in a movie like Bumblebee that I thought Haley Steinfeld brought so beautifully in that film, and she brought this heart, this it made Bumblebee feel like you just made. It made you feel for both of them. You like, wow, they really are best friends. They really will die for each other. You know what I'm saying? And I think we we worked hard to bring that to this movie, and I'm so excited for people to just see that. And the special effects are gonna be great. The battle sequences in this film are insane, bro. Insane.
Did you ever imagine? I mean, growing up and wanting to do what you do, did you imagine the big screen, or were you a guy that was theater on the stage? That's what you wanted to do?
Well, music, I'm a musician too, and music has always been my, my first love, and that was my way of getting, it was wild, like, because I auditioned for, I thought it was a talent show in high school, and it ended up being a musical, and I thought I was just going to, do a show and sing a song and be out, and it was like, oh, no, this is like a production, like we're doing rehearsals, we're going, and I, at first I didn't want to do it because I was like, yo, this is like mad lines. Like, I can't remember all of this. You know what I'm saying? I don't even do my homework. Like, there's no way I'm going to remember this. But, shout out to my teacher, Sarah Steinwise. She's still one of my best friends and mentors. And, she really believed in me. And I kept doing musicals in high school. I fell in love with it. And then I went on to college, and she helped me with the material to go to college. She paid for the application. She, helped me get a scholarship to school because, so – she's been like an angel in my life, and I kept going. I went to school for musical theater, and that was just my way in. But then I was doing musicals. And I want to do TV, and then I went and worked with Spike Lee. We did 2 seasons of his TV show on Netflix. She's Gotta Have It, and then it was like, all right, I want to do movies, and then boom, I did Stars Born, and then Godzilla, and started doing those, and In the Heights, and the Hamilton. We did all that, and and then music, I put out 2 albums. Like, so it's just really like, it was really like, yo, like, what do we want to do? What's the next challenge? How can I grow as an artist? You know? So it wasn't really one thing. It was just kind of like allowing myself to be inspired in whatever moment I was in. You know what I'm saying?
Did you guys, Anthony Ramos is our guest, did you guys have an idea of how big Hamilton would become as just this worldwide phenomenon?
I had a feeling. But you sound crazy to your friends when you tell them, like, yo, I feel like I'm in one of the biggest things of all time. And because of how I feel when I listen to the music, and how I feel when I watch my cast members do their thing and listen to them sing and watch them act. And, I remember I told one of my boys one time, we're walking down the streets in New York, and I'm like, yo, I feel like I'm in like the hip hop Les Mis. And he was like, bro, you just compared your show to Les Mis. Are you crazy? And then he came to the show and was like, that was insane. I was like, bro, I was trying to tell you, but you can't really explain it to someone unless they see it, but I felt it, I did feel it.
The amount of time it goes in to do the production without a misstep in a line and the words, it's unreal. It's unreal. How many hours would you guess that it's just going over the lines and practicing the raps, the songs, all of it?
In general, like, I think, no matter what you're doing, it's like, someone just asked me, it's like, yo, how do you memorize your lines? I was like, I got this trick now where I do it before I go to sleep. If I got a song I got to memorize, or, I got to remember the lyrics to a song or something like that, I do it before I go to bed. Or, I got lines I got to memorize for, a scene or whatever. I'll try to do it before bed. I don't know what goes on in my brain that the next morning, even if I don't actually know the lines before I go to sleep, the next morning, for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe because my brain rested and then it finally computed, and it just takes practice, man. My friends, I ask my friends to help me study. I'll be like, yo, can you do me a favor? Let me run lines with you real quick. I'll be in the studio sometimes. I'll be cutting a record. And if the producer's like, yo, I got to work on the beat for 10, 15 minutes, I'm like, cool. I'll go in the booth and I'll when I was making my second album, I was shooting this TV show on HBO I was shooting a show called In Treatment.
Yeah.
And I was just I'd be in the booth running my lines while the producer's over here chopping up the vocal I just did or whatever, they're working on the beat it's just repetition, bro, practice.
Yeah. Visiting with Anthony Ramos, future EGOT?
Yo, from your mouth to God's ears, bro.
It just you already got a couple.
Yeah,
you're halfway there.
Yeah,
you got the Grammy, the Tony.
Yeah. We'll see.
Okay, all right.
We'll see.
Now that you're moving into leading roles and everything, it's the star is rising, man. It's special. Anthony Ramos is our guest, but You're a Jets fan, right?
I'm a Jets fan.
Okay, so how's that like, man? What's
He
life?
said,
What's life like for a Jets fan? What's that like, man?
It's easy for you to say as a Chiefs fan.
It is now.
It is.
Yeah. It is now. It was rough for a while, but what's it like being a Jets fan?
It's look, you know what? I love them. I love my Jets. I believe in them. You know, I believe that our team will come back next year. Well.
Yep.
You know, we're just a few pieces of the puzzle, and I think they'll get it. They'll get it. We get Breece Hall back, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
So you know, and look, man, that's my team, bro.
Absolutely,
the
it should
Jets,
be. You know what?
The Mets, the Nets. I mean, it's been years of resilience, but I love them.
Nets, huh?
Bro. We don't even.
I actually am enjoying the conversation. I don't know if you are, but
it's so crazy.
That's why I
bro.
buttered you up with the EGOT. You know, the EGOT. Now let's talk Jets and Nets. Oh man, hey, you know what? Maybe 2028 NBA champs. 2029. I don't know. They got some assets now. You know.
Yeah. I mean, look. Hey, growth.
And you know what? It's everybody else's assets. They don't have to tank.
Right.
They don't have to tank to get great. They just have to hope everybody else sucks.
Yes.
You know? So but they got everybody else's assets, man. You know, it's Kyrie and KD. What was your reaction last night when you saw that? Because I woke up this morning with the news that KD was a Phoenix Sun, and you're here, and he's here.
Yeah. I almost was like, yo, I need to see if the Suns are playing at home this weekend so
I can go support KD.
I can see KD.
We're going to yell at him and taunt him, you know?
No, I love KD, bro. Like, I hope his, he gets everything in his career, and I hope he wins another championship. And same for Kyrie, man. I wish it was with Brooklyn, but I mean, it's gonna be some rebuilding and replanning and that puzzle's looking a little tricky right now, but I'm excited for those guys. I hope that they crush it, and the Mavs are better now with Kyrie, and the Suns are better now with KD.
Yeah. Are you over 2015 Mets and Royals yet?
Yo, you're just abusing me on this show right now.
I am really being a jerk to you. I don't know why, man. This is ridiculous.
Who set me up for this?
This is ridiculous, man. I actually am a huge fan. I promise you.
Yo, like,
I swear.
What is going on here?
I'm a huge fan, man.
And I'm not over that. Yo, I was at that game when they lost to the Royals in Game 5. I was there.
Oh wow.
I
wish I was there.
And I watched the Royals celebrate on the field. I was at the game when they lost to the Padres.
Oh yeah.
I was there this year.
So you're not supposed to go to any games, I guess.
Maybe I need to stop going out here and just watch them on TV. Maybe I'll just listen to them.
Yeah, right.
So that way I'm not even watching. I don't want to jinx anything, but no, let me stop.
Yeah.
Yo, but no, man.
I've got
crazy.
a couple good friends that are diehard Mets fans, and I worked with Bob Valvano, Jimmy V's brother, New Yorkers, Long Island guys.
Oh, yeah.
He's a huge Mets fan, and so we were working together at the time when that series was going on, and he was like, don't worry, Jason. We'll find a way to lose crushingly. We know that. He's like, there's going to be a way our hearts will be ripped out, and you guys will win the World Series. Just wait. And I showed up the next day after Game 5, and he was like, they leave the Dark Knight in. They leave him in. Yuri's Familia. He's actually been pretty good. He gives up a home run to Alex Gordon in game number 1, but he's been fine everywhere else, and they want to keep the Dark Knight in. And Hosmer runs home, and Duda can't remember how to throw a ball anymore.
Bro.
He's like, I told you 5 games ago.
Everybody at the game was like, yo, take him out. Like, it's okay. Yeah. Like, he did great.
He did it.
He did great.
Put in one of the best closers in baseball. He actually was okay in that series, Familia.
Bro.
I mean, but
it was heartbreaking, bro. It was crushing. But you know what? I stayed on the field. I said, look, hey man, this is my first World Series. Here watching my team at the World Series. I said I'm gonna watch the other team celebrate. It was torture, bro.
I get it, man.
Yeah, it was horrible. But
do you have a pick for this weekend? Probably you don't want the Chiefs to win anymore after this conversation.
You know what? In spite of this conversation, I still love Andy Reid.
Okay, yeah.
I love Andy Reid. I've been an Andy Reid fan for years, bro. And I love Patrick Mahomes. It would be a really dope story for Jalen Hurts to get his first, championship. That'd be really, really special. But if I had to root for somebody, I will say probably the Chiefs. But I love both teams, and and I'm so excited. I think this game's about to be crazy.
I'm pumped for it. Anthony Ramos, rising star, Transformers: Rise of the Beast, and he'll be a household name very, very soon. And I think an EGOT winner. From Hamilton and In the Heights and Transformers coming out this year. Thank you for stopping by, man. I enjoyed it. I promise you, I'm a big fan. I'm just playing around,
This
man.
is one of the best. And this is some of the most fun I've had, bro, today.
Awesome,
I'll be honest,
man.
dude.
I
Thank
appreciate
you so
it,
much.
dude. There's Anthony Ramos. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll be nicer to whoever steps sits down with us.
This was abuse.
Coming up.
This was straight abuse.
Next here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Turned out he went 20 minutes in his opening monologue. Like, come on, that's too long. You don't need to be talking for like 20 minutes in a monologue, guy. I mean, jeez Louise. Let somebody else have the mic a little bit.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Jaworski is our guest as we are hanging out here on Sports Radio 810 WHB at Phoenix and Radio Row. Jaws, how are you, sir?
I am doing great, Jason. I can't believe you set up right next to your counterparts up there from Philadelphia. So
they did it to us. I don't know.
We could do a dual package here, right?
We could. You know, maybe the show's going back and forth, just like maybe the game will be. I don't know. Maybe Jaws sits right in the middle, and we talk about your time with the Eagles, but your most memorable year of your life with the Chiefs.
No doubt about it. In fact, I tell people this is Super Bowl I cannot lose. I played for the Chiefs in 1989. Of course, I spent 10 years with the Philadelphia Eagles. So when I look at it that way, one of my teams will win. One of my alumni teams will be a winner.
That's exactly right. And you're here with Mueller Sports Medicine, MuellerSportsMed.com. Use discount code Radio 2023. We talked with Malcolm Butler a little bit earlier, but Ron Jaworski, our guest, with this as well. And the sleeve that seems to be pretty cool in terms of rejuvenating, revitalized, back on the job, back in the game, pain-free.
Jason, when you're an old quarterback that threw 36,000 passes a year over a 17-year career, you live on stuff like this. It actually helps my golf game now.
Really?
It's kind of a compression boot, shoulder boot, that helps move the blood and circulate the blood. So, if you play around in golf, if you're playing football like I did for 17 years of my life in the NFL, it's things like this that keep me going. It just helps move the blood, circulate the blood. You spend an hour in this boot, and put an hour on your shoulder, your arm, whatever it may be, wherever you're having a problem, and you feel good. And I look for anything that can make me feel good.
Well, I mean, look, the energy's never lacking for you. I've never seen you do an interview or TV to where it was like, well, that was kind of low-key with Jaws.
Yeah, I kind of love life, I'm a lucky guy, That's how I look at it. The big guy's been overlooking me for a lot of years. I'm 71 years old right now. I feel good. I'm healthy. Can come around and hang around with guys like you and talk football all the time.
Right.
And I play a little golf, too, so that's kind of the one thing I can compete at now, Jason.
There you go. Ron Jaworski is our guest. We talked with Dick Vermeil yesterday on the show, and we were talking about these quarterbacks and sort of the evolution of the game, and, Dick Vermeil and his offense, and greatest show on turf. We talked with Kurt Warner as well. And Dick said to us, he said, look, he goes, in today's game, he goes, Jaws would have been a dynamite quarterback. And he goes, Jaworski, people don't talk about it. He goes, remember, if you didn't run the ball like 40 times, you were chicken. If you didn't run the ball, you were seen as a weaker team. So it was just a different mentality back then. But he said, in today's game, Jaws had the goods. He would have been one of these quarterbacks.
As a guy that played for Dick for a long time, when you would walk into our locker room and the goals offense and defense were right in front of everybody, and the first goal offensively to help us win the game was run the ball 40 times. It didn't say drop back 40 times. So you could see it was a different attitude. The game was different. The rules right now allow you to just open your offense up like, Mahomes is doing and Andy is doing and Eric's doing in Kansas City. Those are fun offenses to watch. The Eagles have basically taken an offense from, I call it kind of a unique offense in two regards, a hybrid offense. Their NFL-style passing attack, deep, 3 levels, spread the field sideline to sideline. They do the typical NFL things. But then when you got a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, you're seeing the zone read, the RPOs, and he is really good at it. So it forces defense to really not say, oh, they're going to come in and throw the football, or they're going to come in and run the football. And here's the 6 runs they're going to use, and here's the 6 passes they're going to use, the dirty dozen plays. Oh, no, you get from play to play, you do not know what Nick Sirianni is going to do. So it's when I watch all the tape of the Eagles offense all season long because I do the NBC pregame and postgame show, so I'd like to bring that X's and O mentality to the game that kept me in the league for 17 years. And it's a very unique style offense. And, Steve Spagnuolo has spent a lot of nights trying to figure this one out this week because the Eagles do present a lot of problems.
Are you seeing a difference in Jalen Hurts post-injury than pre-injury? Is it evident out there, or is it maybe overblown from what we're seeing with the shoulder for Jalen?
It was evident to me. I think it was crystal clear, and I thought even against San Francisco, some of his throws lost some energy. Now he's a tough guy. I mean, he's a really tough guy. I love the guy's leadership. I love his calmness and demeanor. He can run the offense very well, but there was no doubt in my mind his balls were losing energy. He missed A.J. Brown on a double move, had opened by about 3 yards. And I've made that throw 1,000 times, and it's a throw where you've got to put more air under it, drive the ball down the field, and let your receiver go get it. He kind of just threw a line shot in there and didn't have energy on the throw, and obviously he missed him. There were some throws in the flat that troubled me as well. He had some backs coming out of the flat. They had to slow down to catch the football, lost energy on a couple throws. So I'm looking at it from a quarterback's eyes who played 17 years and saying, it's not the Jalen I saw the last couple of years or even the season before the shoulder injury. So, he's had a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
He's had a couple of weeks to get healthy. Same thing with Patrick, and he's overcoming the injury as well. But I think both these guys will be as close to healthy as they can be.
What do you see with Patrick, and take us back to the game against the Bengals and trying to play through that ankle injury where, plant foot and trying to drive off. He had a high ankle sprain on the other foot as well, but the difficulties of being able to throw the ball 40-something times with that.
I was feeling his pain, and I love Patrick's mentality. He's a freaking warrior, and you got to be a warrior to play that game, the way he plays it. And I'll guarantee you, every single guy in that huddle is looking, saying, "Damn, I'm going to give it extra." My quarterback is sucking it up, and he's playing his ass off,
Yeah.
And that day, if he's doing it, I'm doing it. And he rallied that football team. Sometimes you don't have to shout and scream. Just, lead by example. It's one of the great things I've learned. Albert Einstein said this. Not a big Albert Einstein follower, He said there's only one way to lead. Lead by example, and that's what Patrick Mahomes has been doing. The guy's hurt, he's limping off the field. And when he took off on that run just before the game-winning field goal, I mean, he knew it. He knew he's hurt, but it was the time. As a quarterback, you just know there's a time where you got to make that play. And he understood the relevance of the moment. And he just took off, and it looked like Patrick Mahomes of old. Now, you're not going to get him running the ball, 20 times like that, but he just felt the moment, and he had to suck it up and make it happen. So he has really been he's always been a leader. But when you see the injury and the guy fights through the pain and leads his football team, man, I tip my hat to Patrick Mahomes.
He said after the game he didn't know where it came from, to be able to do that because that was the fourth quarter, the last play of the game. It's one thing to start the game and you've warmed up and everything. Now you're sitting on the bench. You're going back in there. You're sitting on the bench. You're doing this. You're stepping on it different. It looked like he hurt it a little bit when he was running to his left and threw back to his right. And he actually was recorded as the fastest time of a Chiefs ball carrier in the game.
Amazing.
With that ankle. Yeah. But you're right. It's one of those to where warrior mentality of I've got to get there, so I will.
Yeah, Jason, you got to overcome that. It's more of a mental thing than a physical team. He knew he was hurt. He was hurt at practice all week too. But when you show up for your players and your teammates, they see it. When you get in the game, you understand the moment. He understands the moment. He's got incredible God-given talent. Just incredible God-given talent. The platforms, we talk about it every single week. I don't know how he throws some of these balls, but he's accurate and on time with them. And he's going to have to play at a very high level this week because this Eagles front four. And they're only 4 in the field at a time, but they've got 8 pass rushers on that defense. So there's going to be pressure, and I think it's going to be important that the Chiefs run the football and stay out of those known passing situations.
Well, one of the things that Ron Jaworski's our guest, and he's with Mueller Sports, MuellerSportsMed.com, Radio 2023 to get the 23% off discount on this awesome device to help you recover and get back in the game, get back on the job pain-free. When you lead up to the Super Bowl, and as an X's and O's guy like yourself, game plan, scheming, how much of slowing down the pass rush from the Eagles is done the 2 weeks leading up to the game as opposed to now you got to go out there and execute and block the guys versus, well, this is what Andy's going to do to slow down that pass rush and maybe have them looking right and left. And
well, I mean, conventional wisdom says you got to stay balanced, and the Chiefs this season have had a lot of success with their 2 tight end formations. I mean, they've gotten away from the deep passing game, become more of a consistent ball control, short passing game, move the chain style of offense. And, Bieniemy and Andy Reid have been great at creating that style of offense this year. And you look at almost every Chiefs game as maybe I think the Raider game was the only one that was separated by more than 3 or 4 or 5. Every game has been close. So they've kept every game close, and they've been successful winning them at the end because you got a Patrick Mahomes that can make plays. But if I look at, because I look at every Eagles game, I obviously call their games for NBC in Philadelphia. The game they lost to Washington, to me, would present a blueprint for playing the Eagles defense. Washington just stayed on schedule. Get 3 yards, get 4 yards, get 3 yards. They control the ball for 40 minutes. The Eagles lose that game. If you get behind the down against this defense, I mean, Hassan Reddick coming off the corner, Big Cram, Sweat, inside, just Ndamukong Suh comes in out of nowhere, has a big, starting to make big plays. It's Fletcher Cox. So their rotation, they're only playing 30 snaps a game. They're not playing 60. So every group that comes in is fresh. So I think what Kansas City must do is make the Eagles' defense respect the run first.
Do you have a prediction? And we'll let you go.
I got 31-21 Eagles.
31-21 Eagles. We got you down. Mueller Sports, MuellerSportsMed.com. Use discount code Radio2023. Ron Jaworski with us. Ron, thank you for the time. I really appreciate you stopping by.
Hey, my pleasure. I played 17 years in the league and 1 year in Kansas City, and it was one of my best years in football. Great football town.
Awesome, man. Jaws, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jason.
There's Ron Jaworski joining us here at Radio Row as we're hanging out here in Phoenix and heading up until Super Bowl 57. We will take a time out. Do want to remind you that our coverage right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, presented by Twin Peaks, America's favorite sport, crowns a champ on February 12th. Show up early, cash out quarterly. The first 100 guests qualify for the Squares board. Watch the game at Twin Peaks. More Zone rolling along next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I'm kind of feeling like Twitter has less of a bot problem and more of a butt problem.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, hanging out at Radio Row in Phoenix as Super Bowl 57 right around the corner. Joining us now is Frank Caliendo here in the Zone. Frank, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. It's so nice to see some familiar faces as I come down here, and I brought my son down here to take a look at Radio Row. He'd never been a part of this before, so I somehow got some credentials for him, or pretending he's my PR guy. He's walking around with a clipboard pretending like he has a calendar.
That's right.
And he's doing the thing right now where he's trying to look straight forward, but then also look and see who else is around us.
Yes, that's right.
So
who's more famous than my dad? I see him every day. I want to see people that are cooler than he is.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, and he knows everybody's. I don't know everybody's faces and stuff like that, so I know names and I know what people do, but I don't always know exactly. He's like, oh, that's it, then he's going this and that. Then I saw Rappaport, and I'm like, we can talk to Rappaport for a little bit. So it's pretty cool to do that. And the people in the industry never ask me, like Ian Rappaport's like, can you do your Ian Rappaport? I'm like, yes, it's just Adam Schefter with a cold. So that's basically the kind of thing. He's not even mad about it. Like, why do you have to ask Adam Schefter first? I don't. It's the only way I know how to get into it. So, but that was doing the Tony Romo thing, who's getting a bunch of flack right now.
He is, yeah.
Now, I actually like all these guys. I find them fun. It's interesting to me because I think the thing with Romo is probably that he got the big paycheck, and that's what everybody talks about now. And then people are like, you're getting paid this much to do a game. When he was new, people were like, oh, this is a breath of fresh air. And now there's this difficulty of that people are used to you. So you're not the breath of fresh air anymore. So it's like, what's next? I've been a part of that many times. Trust me. Madonna, that's why she got a new face. So that's the whole thing. But with Romo, and my Nance is not there, so don't grade my Jim Nance. But I call him the car starter, and Tony Romo's the car. So it's like Jim Nance, hello friends, Jim Nance with my pal Tony Romo. Rev it up, Tony. Oh, Jim, here we go, Jim, Tony. So here's the funny thing is I can only really say that sounds like Jim Nance's Tony. So Nance calls me. I get somehow mutual friend. Hooks us up, and Nance leaves me a voicemail. I saved it, of course. One of the guys, hello, Frank. Jim Nance, ready to leave you a message. I was like, oh, this is the greatest. I started going down, yeah. But that's the thing. Romo, right? He's a kid in the candy store. Oh, look at these Twizzlers, Jim. That's so good. You can pull them apart. I can taste them right now. Skittles, so many different colors, so many different flavors. It's a rainbow of flavors. I remember Jay Moore doing the Christopher Walken on Saturday Night Live. Here we go, Jim. Tony, Starburst, oh, Milky Way. The galaxy's so good, Jim.
The Nance and Romo, it's great because it's the only thing I think of with Nance and Romo. It's I don't know, Jim. What do you think's going to happen here?
I don't know, Jim. What do you think,
Tony?
Tony, I think you're the one being paid for this. Exactly. Oh, Jim, what do you think, Jim? It's like my Adam Schefter on Helium. Here we go. According to my sources, at this particular time, it appears. So yeah, but I like those. I like the teams where there's something fun about them. Everybody has, the old school Madden Summerall to the 20, to the 25. Then Madden explain, the reason that he's going faster is because his legs are moving. Yeah, we get it. We know. But that's what it used to be, and what you did. But the world is so different now. You couldn't even imagine. Summerall in Madden, right? I mean, because Summerall said nothing. He just didn't even do sentences. They were just to the 20, to the 25. Guys weren't as fast back then.
Yeah, that's right.
But
legs weren't moving as fast.
Yeah, right. Everything wasn't as fast. So yeah, I don't know. I like watching these guys, and I have a lot of fun with it. So.
Can you do a Patrick Mahomes impression?
Yeah,
or is it just
man, it's in here, and every once in a while it gets that little bit. It's that people think it's Kermit the Frog. Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here. They think it's that.
But you have to add some Frank Oz. Waka waka, right? So in there, it's in here. Yeah, well, I mean, that's what he starts everything. Yeah, well, I mean, that's the kind of thing it is. So it's in there, and if you bring it down, it becomes John C. Reilly. That's in there. Mark Ruffalo. I see this as an absolute win. Joe Rogan. Wow, Jamie, pull that up. Oh my gosh. So those all those voices are in there. So I think it's actually a little bit of John C. Reilly, and you add some Ray Romano. Oh no, so it's in there, and then get that Tony Romo, and then hey, wow, these guys drawing mustaches on me.
Do you ever try to do one voice and another one comes out?
Happens all the time.
Yeah,
happens all the because they blend. So because they're so close, it's like what it is really is muscle memory. Mm-hmm. It's like anything. What do you do in sports? You train a reflex, right? So that's what you do with an impression or a character is you train that reflex to just happen. And some of them are easier to do that. And you can do more with it. But for some of those. Like I was working on Saul Goodman, so Saul Goodman, Better Call Saul. So all I can say is, did you know that you have rights? The Constitution says you do, and so do I. Hi, I'm Saul Goodman. So I can say that, but I can't get outside of it. Okay. So it's that familiarity. But the Morgan Freeman, I could talk like that all day, sonny. That's just the way it is. So.
And you could just go from like Chris Rock to Morgan Freeman.
I could do that right there. Yes, well, and then go into a John Madden and find Jeff Goldblum along the way. Yes, of course.
Throwing Tracy Morgan, that's crazy.
I watched the Kentucky Derby with Tracy Morgan.
Oh, did you really?
Yes,
How was that?
That's crazy. Look at these horses. Why are these people wearing these funny hats?
It was amazing because he didn't really want to be bothered, which I get it because he was with his family. We snuck into an area we weren't supposed to be.
Right.
And so we're sitting there, and Tracy Morgan's in this all-white suit, and we're like, there's Tracy Morgan right over there. And it's like, where? The only guy wearing an all-white suit right there is Tracy Morgan. And people went up and was like, hey, can I get your autograph, a picture? He's like, no, I'm here with my family. So he was wanting to be low-key. So we're standing there, and there's like a railing that goes underneath as it's overlooking the finish line because, again, we were somewhere we weren't supposed to be.
Right.
And so a guy walks up, a younger kid walks up in his 20s and is like, hey, Tracy, a big fan. And he's like, yeah, cool. And I looked at him, I'm like, that's the owner of American Pharoah, the Triple Crown owner. And I don't know why, but I was standing right next to Tracy Morgan, and I don't know why I cussed, but I looked at Tracy Morgan, I go, that's the bleeping owner of American Pharoah. And Tracy Morgan lost it. I was like, whoa, you unified the belt. Not since Tyson has the belt been unified. And from that point forward, he was taking pictures with everybody. He was signing autographs. Yeah. It was like, that's all it took. All of a sudden.
Sometimes there's just a moment that gets you into a good mood. And yeah, you never know. You never know what leads up to that moment either.
Yeah.
Could there have been a family squabble before you're in the hotel room together and something goes wrong? You get some bad news on the phone. Mm-hmm. All kinds of stuff. Things that happen to everybody every day. You never know, but something can put you in a good mood, and then you're going. And
absolutely.
you were the.
It wasn't
me.
It was Zayat, his son, that
right, but
he was the one that did.
You identified the spark.
That's exactly right. Only because I happened to be talking about it. He won the Triple Crown the year before.
Unified the belt. That's crazy.
Exactly. That's exactly what he sounded like. And then, of course, my sister-in-law was posting a picture on Facebook and said, just hanging out with Chris Rock.
Oh, no.
So, no, we're not.
Oh boy!
It's like no, we're hanging out with Tracy Morgan. It's what happens. Yeah. Frank Caliendo is our guest. Can you give us a quick breakdown of what you think is going to happen in the game in some of the different voices?
Yeah. I mean, you look at the defense there on the Philadelphia side. Look at the offense on the Kansas City side. I mean, Andy Reid. I don't know. I mean, if you tell me this guy's going to get an extra cheeseburger if you win, boom. I mean, I'm going with the mustache. Nick Siri, I think this guy's got some plans, but then you look at what Andy Reid can do, and when he's not drawing mustaches on guys, he's drawing up plays, and that's why I'm going Andy Reid, especially when I'm talking to you.
Frank Caliendo, our guest here at Radio Row. Frank, thank you so much for
absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and we'll see if your son continues to make sure you get from place to place.
Yeah,
he looks. He looks like he's having a blast.
Yeah,
by the way.
He's having. This is what was that? Oh, you're waving people off?
No, get away.
Yeah,
get away.
We've had enough. We've had enough.
How many people come up and ask you, can you do impressions too, like your dad?
Yeah. And he can do them, though. That's the funny part. Oh, yeah.
Which impressions is it?
Well, he always does Peter Griffin, that voice. He doesn't even know he's doing it. He's worried he's going to have to go on here. Half the people we do, you get canceled. So I can't hear you, bud. Yeah, you do have them in there. Everybody gets canceled. So.
That's probably right. Frank, thank you so much for stopping. I appreciate it.
Good to see you.
There's Frank Caliendo joining us here in the zone, and good stuff from Frank Caliendo. And one radio station that he hung out with. One radio station he hung out with. I don't remember which one it was, but just the one. Because he wasn't supposed to be on Radio Row. He just came and brought his son to look around Radio Row, and he just came and sat down at our table. Josh,
So here's this story of when I was, really kind of invading Tracy Morgan's personal space when he didn't really want to be bothered. So Frank Caliendo, who I grabbed down and shooed his son away to talk to for 10 minutes. It was just this crazy thing that happened.
No, he sat down at our table, like legit. I went to go grab coffee. Because we had to,
you came back with a cup of coffee and a cup of Caliendo. Your hands were full.
Secret of radio. We had to tape that one earlier today.
Whoa!
Yes, I know. Sorry about that. And so I went to grab some coffee, and I'm walking back because we don't have anything scheduled, and Chad's blowing up my phone, and I don't know that because I'm walking, and I don't have it on. I've got it on vibrate. So I start walking towards the table, and I'm like, who is sitting at our table? That's where our guests sit. Like, what if we got somebody that's going to sit down? Who is that? And I get closer, and I'm like, oh, it's Frank Caliendo. And Chad was like, hey, do you want to talk to Frank right now? I'm like, well, yeah, I guess we could tape it, and maybe play it back later today. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. And he was like, yeah, just, I'm not actually doing the rounds at Radio Row. I'm just
Wait,
here,
that was on
showing
tape?
my son. What?
You were walking back with coffee, and you just heard Morgan Freeman, and Chad was like, hey, do you want to talk to Frank Caliendo? Like, no, but I'd love to talk to Morgan Freeman if he's there. Wait a second!
Yeah. I mean, if he was going to stay around longer, I was just going to start comparing my impressions with him.
Hey, it's Fact or Fiction Day typically, so I'm just going to go ahead and give a free one out for next week. Tracy Morgan Freeman.
Yes, that is exactly right. Yeah.
That's just the guy that'll just be there.
Don't you mean Sports or Leisure?
What did I say? Fact or Fiction?
You said Fact or Fiction Day.
Fact. I was testing. You guys also got points for Fact or Fiction this week. You both start up 1-0 on Lebo next time.
Pure fiction. It is fiction. It is not Fact or Fiction Day. It is Sports or Leisure, and same name might be Tracy Morgan Freeman. But I didn't know if I said, hey, I want you to listen to my Denny Matthews. Give me some tips on Denny Matthews if he'd like a parking spot. Easy to park, Frank. Parking spot. And then he'd be like, well, I don't know. I don't know who is that? I'm like, it's Voice of the Royals. Well, I'd have to listen to him more often. Okay. What about Bill Walton? What about my Chris Broussard? What do you think about that? I can break the news with Chris Broussard and Kevin Durant getting traded to the Suns. What do you think about that?
I continue to tell you, and I'll tell you when your impressions are bad, but your Denny Matthews one is very good.
Yeah.
Just for an example, just for the sake of honesty, the ones that I don't think are as good are the rest of them.
That is exactly right. What about my Chris Broussard?
The people that I've talked to inside the organization, they tell me that LeBron.
What about that one? Is that okay?
I don't know if it's okay or not, but it's pretty good.
Yes.
I'm really far away from the microphone. Uh-oh. Beards, hit the breaking news. What is it? What is it, Beards?
So, the NBA trade deadline has been stupid today. The Blazers are trading Gary Payton to the Warriors. That's not the breaking news part. The breaking news part is what Josh and I have been reacting to with literally half the trades that have been going on, which is 5 first or second round picks. They've done nothing today but trade second round picks. Every other trade is this player and 4 picks, second round only. In the same thing, Devontae Graham got traded to the Spurs, and 4 second round picks along with that.
And where did Steve Mikhailuk go? We're just doing local updates.
He went to Charlotte.
There you go.
Poor Svi.
Did you guys see the Jalen Brunson video last night of finding out that Josh Hart got traded to the Knicks?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you haven't seen that? I retweeted it last night. So he was at Villanova for his jersey retirement ceremony.
Oh.
And somebody started taking a video, and he was just sort of hanging out, didn't have the phone, and somebody went up to him and showed him, and he looked at it, and he just started going crazy. Just started going, whoa! Because they're like best friends, he and Josh Hart. And so he just, his whole family starts cheering and celebrating, and it was really cool. And you got the real raw moment when Jalen Brunson found out that one of his best friends is going to now be a New York Knick with him and traded there. So that was actually pretty cool. With all these, we saw the was it the video of or the pictures of when Bridges found out he was getting traded?
Yeah,
or,
so it wasn't. I haven't seen any actual footage, but he was the example I was going to pick, which is because his pinned tweet is him hugging, I believe, his mom on draft night, and then quote tweeting, "I don't ever want to leave."
His mom that worked for the Sixers that originally took him and then traded him.
And so his
Zaire
pinned,
Smith that didn't work out.
His pinned tweet since August of 2020 has been, "I don't ever want to leave," heart emoji at Suns, and then his only tweet last night was just, "Oh my God, LOL." And so that screenshot was going around because I'm really excited about Kevin Durant, but I'm really sad about Mikal Bridges. I hope Anthony Ramos treats him well.
Dude, that's when that's not when, but that's what the reaction I've seen a lot from people that are Suns fans, and just you see the breaking news and then looking at the replies on Twitter, and a lot of it's been, "Oh, Durant, but damn, why Bridges?"
They basically traded their they traded their vibes captains. Like they're all kind of gone now.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. That is an interesting point for Kevin Durant, who's still looking for his first real ring. So
it's coming, baby.
I just want to remind people that the Celtics swept Kevin Durant out of the playoffs last year, so we're ready for him.
Didn't have Devin Booker.
You think Ja's still good in the West?
Ja
Morant still feels good. I'm good in the West. We're good. We're the only team we worry about is the Celtics. Well, about that.
Good. Stay worried.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it for another day here at Radio Row. We will wrap up our coverage coming up tomorrow from Radio Row leading into Super Bowl 57. Thank you for listening. It is the program with Swin Petro coming up next.
Be a part.